The words are on this screen. I'll screen share this. Meeting is now live streaming, and I will share the screen. As Sri Dandi Maharaj recommended to me, in order to fully appreciate the Sri Upadesamrta, Nectar of Instruction, very nice to begin with going to the goal of reading about attaining Sri Radha Kund, and then we come back to the beginning again. I really like this idea. I'm praying for his well-being. I received a message from him stating that he was taken to the hospital. He's gone to the Apollo Hospital, supposed to be the best heart hospital in Calcutta. He was having spasms in his heart. He was complaining to me that they pumped him up full of so many drugs, but that he would keep me updated. I've yet to hear an update from him yet. Nothing new. I just told him to be careful that they don't start jabbing him, because poor Sura Prabhu, he left his body within 5 days of receiving the booster, something that Jayapataka Swami's doctor recommended him not to do, because he's living on somebody else's heart. He also has a compromised immune system. So I pray that they don't inject him with anything unnecessarily. Okay, so let me find the words here to this bhajan. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinata Madana Mohan, Shama Kunda Radha Kunda, Giri Govardhan, Kalindi Jamuna, Jaya Jaya Mahavan, Keshigata Bangshi Bata, Dvadasha Kahanan, Jaha Sabalila, Koelioyo, Shri Nandan Nandan, Shri Nanda Jashoda Jaya, Jaya Gopagan, Shri Damadi Jaya, Jaya Dil Vatsagan, Jaya Vrishabhanu Jaya, Kirtida Sundari, Jaya Purnamasi, Jaya Biranagari, Jaya Gopishwara, Vrindavanamaj, Jaya Jaya Jai Krishna Sakha Bhatu Vijaraj, Jaya Ramagata Jaya Rohini Nandan, Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Basi Jata Jan, Jaya Dvija Padni Jaya Naga Kanyagan, Bhakti Tejahara Pailo Govinda Charan Sirasa Mandala Jaya Jaya Radha Shyam Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Sarva Manoram Jaya Jaya Jvala Rasam Sarva Rasahasam Parakiya Bhavem Jaha Brajete Prachar Sri Janava Pada Padma Koriyas Maharan Dina Krishna Dasa Kohe Namasan Kirtan Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the translation for that, this is written by Krishna Das. Now, I'm not sure if that's Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami or another Krishna Das. I don't really have any reference to that. Maybe someone like Muni Maharaj, he might know. So the translation is, all glories to Radha and Krishna and the divine forest of Vrindavan. All glories to the three presiding deities of Vrindavan, Shri Govinda, Gopinath, and Madan Mohan. All glories to Shama Kund, Radha Kund, Govardhan Hill, and the Jamuna River, Kalindi. All glories to the great forest known as Mahavan, where Krishna and Balaram displayed all of their childhood pastimes. All glories to Keshigat, where Krishna killed the Keshi demon. All glories to the Vangshivat tree, where Krishna attracted all the gopis to come by playing his flute. Glories to all the 12 forests of Vraj. At these places, the son of Nanda, Sri Krishna, performed all of his pastimes. All glories to Krishna's divine father and mother, Nanda and Yashoda. All glories to the cowherd boys headed by Sridham, the older brother of Srimati Radharani and Ananga Manjari. All glories to the cows and calves of Vraj. All glories to Radha's divine father and mother, Vrishabhanu. And the beautiful Kirtida. All glories to Purnamasi, the mother of Sandipani Muni, grandmother of Madhumangala and Nandimukhi, and beloved disciple of Devarshi Narada. All glories to the young cowherd maidens of Vraj. All glories to Gopishvar Shiva, who resides in Vrindavan in order to protect the holy Dham. All glories to Krishna's funny Brahmin friend, Madhu Mangala. All glories to Ramagat, where Lord Balaram performed his rasa dance. All glories to Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini. All glories to all the residents of Vrindavan. All glories to the wives of the proud Vedic Brahmins. All glories to the wives of the Kaliya serpent. Through pure devotion, they all obtained the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. All glories to the place where the rasa dance of Sri Krishna was performed. All glories to Radha and Shyam. All glories to the divine rasa dance, which is the most beautiful of all of Lord Krishna's pastimes. All glories to the mellow of conjugal love, which is the most excellent of all rasas. And is propagated in Vraj by Sri Krishna in the form of the divine Parakya Bhav, Paramore love. Remembering the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda's consort, Sri Janava Devi, this very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna sings the Sankirtan of the holy name. So I'm just sending a few messages out, Rasangi, so that it won't be only me and you reading together. I've reached out to a few devotees.
And I can't even read because I'm driving.
I know. I realize.
It's sad. What are they going to celebrate New Year's Eve? It's early yet.
Yeah, I have no idea. What was I going to say? Nanda Patni, we can also pray for her well-being. She went in for an operation. She said it wasn't major, but still, I hope everything goes well for her.
I'm going to bring her khichdi tomorrow.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. So I'm just going to send out a couple more messages. We haven't seen Jivan Mukta in a long time.
And Dineshwar.
I've already contacted Dineshwar. I've contacted Mahabudhi. What were we saying, Rasangi?
Hari and Baba Tarini. Oh, well.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe it's a time for individual reflection.
Individual reflection. You mean
but
your
yeah,
voice?
We can go and do it. It was very nice to hear your bacha.
Oh, I hope the sound was okay.
You're good, Kirtani.
Please invite Bhumi. Practically, I've had no contact with her since she was our co-admin in 2015. Your voice is breaking up, so I can't understand you. Sorry, your voice is breaking up. Oh, Jai Mahabudhi has arrived. Hare Krishna. Well, he looked like he almost arrived. He came and then his name disappeared. So I'll just give it another minute or so for Mahabodhi Prabhu to join in. Okay, but I guess I can chant the Sanskrit in the meantime. So verse 11, the glories of Sri Radha Kund. Krishna Shochai Pranaya Vasati Prayasi Byopi Radha Kundam Chasyamuni Birabitas Tadrig Eva Vyadayi Yad Preshtarapyalam Asulabam Kim Punar Bhakti Bhajam Tat Premidam Sakridapi Sara Snatur Avishkaroti. So the Anvaya, or the word for word, and we're reading right now the Sri Upadesamrta commentary, since we've read Srila Prabhupada's already, and we've read Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj's already. So now I'm reading the Nectar of Instruction commentary of Srila Radha Raman Goswami of Gopal Bhatta's temple, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's, which are found in Srila Narayan Maharaj's Nectar of Instruction. And after that, I have the Essence of All Advice, which are Srila Narayan Maharaj's commentaries on the Nectar of Instruction that he has spoken in classes back in the 1990s. And that's the first time I'm reading his books online. So it's a monument for me. So Radha means Srimati Radhika. Prayashibhya api means even more than the other beloved gopis. Uchai is the foremost, Vasati, object, Pranaya, of love, Krishnasya, of Sri Krishna, Asyaha, her, Srimati Radhika's, Kundam, pond, cha, also, Abhitaha, in every respect, Tadrik Eva, is just so, the topmost object of Sri Krishna's love. Vyadayi, this has been established in the scriptures. Muni bihi, by the sages, idam, this Sara, pond, Sri Radha Kund, Avishkaroti, bestows, tat, that, prema, gopi prem, yat, which, alam, is immensely, asulabam, means difficult to attain, prishtai api, even for such dear devotees of Bhagavan as Narada. Kim punar, what to speak of, bhakti bhajam, other reservoirs of bhakti, the sadhaka bhaktas, excuse me. Snatuhu, upon one who simply bathes in its waters with great devotion, sakrit api, only once. Translation. After thorough deliberation on the matter, the sages have unanimously declared in the Padma Purana that just as among all the gopis, Srimati Radhika is the foremost object of Sri Krishna's great love. In precisely the same way, this pond of hers is also the topmost object of his love. Upon one who simply bathes in its waters just once with great devotion, Sri Radha Kund bestows that rare treasure of Gopi Prem, which is so immensely difficult to attain, even for such dear devotees of Bhagavan as Narada, not to speak of ordinary sadhakas. So here's the Upadesh Prakashika Tika of Sri Radha Raman Goswami. And he says, it is only natural at this point to become eager to learn what special commodity can be attained by taking exclusive shelter of the limitlessly glorious Sri Radha Kund. Quote, the fruit of such exclusive devotion is the topmost variety of Krishna Prem. Sri Rupa Goswami is concluding his composition by affirming this philosophical principle, or Siddhanta. The prem being spoken of here is extremely difficult to achieve, even for such exalted and dear devotees of Bhagavan as Narada. In other words, this most elevated, radiant, divine love, known as Anatojvala Prem, that the Vrajagopis possess for Sri Krishna is not only difficult for such dear devotees to attain, it is actually impossible. Sri Radha Kund bestows this very prem upon one who bathes in her waters with a mood of special love and devotion. Here, Sri Radha Kund is both the Swayam Karta, the one who directly bestows that prema upon the devotees, and also the Vishaya, the object of the devotee's love. Who would not take shelter of this Radha Kund? In other words, any devotee skilled in the art of performing bhajan and sincerely desirous of achieving the topmost prem would certainly do so. Relying upon a particle of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, I have composed this commentary as far as my intelligence allows, in order to increase the transcendental pleasure of his devotees. The servant of the Sri Radha Ramandiri and son of Sri Govardhan Lala, or Lal, I guess they say, the son of Sri Govardhan Lal, named Radha Ramandas, hereby concludes his commentary named Upadeshika on Sri Rupa Goswami's Sri Upadesamrta. Now we have the Piyusa Varshini Vritti as spoken by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur on this verse. Having described the natural glory of Sri Radha Kund in the previous verse, this 11th verse has been composed with the intention of making steadfast faith in Sri Radha Kund arise within the hearts of sadhakas. Srimati Radhika is Sri Krishna's dearmost beloved, and in all respects more exalted than all his other beloveds. In the scriptures, the sages, Munis, have described Sri Radha Kund's eminence in the same way. Sri Radha Kund easily bestows upon one who bathes in her waters that rare prem, which is not only immensely difficult for sadhakas to attain, but also difficult for premi bhaktas like Narada to achieve. Therefore, Sri Radha Kund alone is the most suitable place of residence for those endeavoring for perfection in their bhajan. The jiva who has overcome the influence of matter and who has attained his inner perfected spiritual form as a gopi, a prakrita gopi deha, should reside in the mood of a maidservant, Paliyadasi, of Srimati Radhika on the banks of transcendental Sri Radha Kund in the divine land of Vraj, a prakrita Vraj. In the resplendent grove Kunj of the spiritual master, who is situated in his eternal form as a female friend, Guru Rupa Saki of Sri Radha Krishna. Living there, the pure spirit soul, Aprakrita Jiva, should externally take constant shelter of chanting Harinam. Internally, in his spiritually perfected eternal form as a gopi, he should render service to Srimati Radhika while deeply meditating on Sri Krishna's eightfold daily pastimes, the Ashta Kaliya Leela. This is the culmination of bhajan for the devotees who have taken shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet. Now the Anuvritti commentary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srimati Radhika is Sri Krishna's dear most beloved and the crest jewel of those who are dear to him. In the scriptures, devotee sages have described Sri Radha Kund as being Sri Krishna's foremost beloved object, as dear to him as Srimati Radhika herself. The topmost love for Bhagavan, Gopi Prem, is exceedingly difficult even for dearly beloved devotees of Bhagavan, such as Narada, to attain. Not to speak of how difficult it is for devotees still in the practitioner stage, sadhaka bhaktas, to achieve that rare prem. But very easily, Sri Radha Kund bestows this prem upon one who bathes in her waters just once. Wow. How many times did you get a chance to bathe in Radha Kund, Rasangi? I guess a few times. I've taken a few drops on my head, probably at least 3 or 4 times. But I'm sure it's going to take a lot more than that. I need to develop some real bhakti.
I've been there once, but I was with Alice Coltrane. And
Oh, very nice.
Pradyumna took us there and we bathed in it.
Oh, wonderful.
That was quite a highlight.
So you, Alice Coltrane, and Pradyumna Prabhu bathed in Radha Kund together.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Anybody else there? No. But it's wonderful. I mean, that Krishna loves Radhika as much as he loves Radhika. That's what you read.
I can't understand you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I'll just continue. You know, if nobody comes by in the next 10 minutes, which is 8 p.m. for me, then maybe I'll just let you do what you need to do at home. And I've got tons of stuff to do here.
Sure.
So I'll go for another 10 minutes.
Okay.
Sri Radha Kund is full of prem and indeed is actually comprised of waters of nectarian prema. By transcendently residing a prakrita vas on the banks of Sri Radha Kund, and by transcendently bathing a prakrita snan in her waters, one will obtain the topmost prem. What is meant by aprakrita vas and aprakrita snan? Remaining thoroughly aloof from all desires for material sense enjoyment, one should constantly perform deep meditational worship, manasa bhajan, in strict devotion to Srimati Radhika for the duration of one's life. After shedding this material body, one will attain an eternal spiritual body and be intently engaged in direct eternal service to Srimati Radhika. Only one who bathes in Sri Radha Kund in this way attains the topmost prem. Oh, I just got a message from Jivan Mukta. He's as sick as a dog. He hasn't eaten for 5 days. So I'm just reading from, is there anything I can do, Jivan Mukta? Please let me know. I can prepare prasadam here and bring it to you. Just tell me what you need me to do and I'll do that. In the meantime, I'm reading from Radha Kund commentary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur as recommended by Tridandi Swami, stating that it's very good if we can meditate on the goal of the 11 verses of Nectar of Instruction, Sri Upadesamrta, attaining Sri Radha Kund, and then it will give us impetus to want to follow all the other recommendations in the other previous 10 verses. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur goes on to say that obtaining such good fortune to attain Radha Kund and achieve the topmost prema is exceedingly difficult even for such exalted premi devotees as Narada. It is extremely difficult even for the perfected devotees who eternally serve Krishna in the devotional mellows, rasas of servitude, dasya, friendship, sakya, and parenthood, vatsalya, to bathe in Sri Radha Kund. What to speak of worldly minded devotees, persons, excuse me, of worldly minded persons. What more can possibly be said of the glories of taking a prakrita snan in Sri Radha Kund? Those who bathe there obtain good fortune that extends all the way up to becoming maidservants of Sri Varshabhanavi, Srimati Radhika. And as we know, that's another name of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He's known as Sri Varshabhanavi Devi Das. Sri Govinda Das was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dear servant, always accompanying Mahaprabhu as if he were his shadow. He served Mahaprabhu with great love. Simultaneously, he would also record in his own words descriptions of Sriman Mahaprabhu's especially significant pastimes. The collection of verses he wrote became famous by the name of Govinda Kadacha. Wow, I've never seen that translated before. I wonder if anyone translated that. I'd love to see that. Having heard these verses directly from Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explained them in his own words in his Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay. Through the medium of those verses, light was shed upon Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental character. The following is a narration from the time when Sriman Mahaprabhu was residing in Jagannath Puri. Mahaprabhu had already fulfilled the objectives for which he descended upon this earth. Now he desired to wind up his pastimes. One day he took his intimate devotees and went to the shore of the ocean. Seeing the blue ocean, remembrance of Shamasundar immediately arose within him. Becoming overwhelmed in devotional ecstasy above, he was oblivious to all else. With great difficulty, his devotees gradually brought him back to external consciousness. At that very time, Sri Gaura Sundar slowly began instructing those devotees. In that assembly, Mahaprabhu's very dear disciple, Sri Rupa Goswami, was also present. Rupa Goswami wrote those instructions down in verse form, and these verses became famous as Sri Upadesamrta. Wow, nectarian instructions. For spiritual practitioners, this Upadesamrita is like their very lives and a necklace to be worn at all times. A servant of the famous Sri Radha Raman deity in Vrindavan named Sri Radha Raman Das Goswami composed a beautiful commentary entitled Upadesh Prakashika Hika on the 11 verses of Sri Upadesh Amrita. After some time, the condition of the residents of this world became critical because the doctrine of Prema Bhakti had been substantially covered by the frightful influence of the present age of Kali Yuga. You got that right, the frightful influence of the present age of Kali Yuga. Wow, I've never seen so much fear-mongering going on as I have in the last 2 years. Seeing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent his dear friend, he sent his dear eternal devotee, Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is just for reference, this is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur talking about his own father. So seeing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sent his dear eternal devotee, Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, to this world. In simple and comprehensible language, he composed a brief yet essential commentary on the verses of Sri Upadesamrita. This commentary is famous as Piyusha Varshini Vritti, which we just read just a few minutes ago. Sri Gaura Sundar is the personification of Aprakrita Vipralambaras, the mellow constituted of sentiments of divine separation from Sri Krishna to nourish the ras of Sambhog, which is when the devotee is meeting together with Krishna. He tasted that Vipralamba ras and for the benefit of human society, he taught how it can be attained. It is compulsory for sincere sadhakas to accept these instructions. Otherwise, it will be impossible for them to ever achieve Krishna Prem. In modern times, Kali Maharaj, the personification of the present degraded age, has assumed the bogus dress of a devotee of Sri Gora. Wow. Sometimes he adopts the name of imitationist, sahaja cults, such as Aula, Bhaula, Neda, or Nedi. With great intensity, he propagates these false philosophies as well as other doctrines, such as Mayavad and Gora Nagari, which are opposed to the path of bhakti. Aho, just see the influence of Kali Maharaj. And there's a footnote here. In the transcendental loving affairs of Sri Radha Krishna, Sri Krishna is a Nagar, the predominating hero in the position of the enjoyer. And Sri Radha and her bodily manifestations, the Sakis, are Nagaris, the predominated heroines in the position of the enjoyed. Although Sri Gora is Krishna himself, he adopts the mood of the Nagari, Srimati Radhika, in order to experience the nature of her love for Krishna. Therefore, Sri Gauranga is not in the mood of a Nagara. The Gora Nagaris conceive of Shriman Mahaprabhu as a Nagara and themselves as Nagaris. This is completely opposed to both the mood of Mahaprabhu and the cultivation of Shuddha Bhakti. So it says editor. So in this case, the editor is Bhaktivedanta Srila Narayan Maharaj, because this is coming from his compilation. So he goes on, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta goes on. By the way, Mahabudhi Prabhu, I'm so happy you're here. I'm just reading this and I'm going to stop shortly for your commentary. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments. So I'm just reading a little bit more and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And Rasangi, she's driving, so she's listening in as well.
Hey, Gord.
Our God sister. Yes?
I'm driving. Gord.
You're driving too?
My phone will go in and out as
Okay, I get it. How long will it be before you get home? Any idea? Anyway, I guess I'll hear from you. It's really bad reception from right now.
Probably another 20 minutes or so.
Oh, okay. Anyway, you're inspiring me to keep reading. If you're listening, Rasangi's listening. And then you can do all speaking after I read. Okay, so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta goes on. Some say, I am Gaura Hari himself. Some declare themselves to be glorious spiritual masters. Some consider themselves to be the creator, and others say that they are Shiva. Very enthusiastically, they cheat human society by propagating their bogus philosophies that they were taught by Kali Maharaj. Now, I've heard this term Kali Maharaj be quoted by Tridandi Swami, and I thought that was his expression, but I see it's actually coming from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur himself. Being pleased with their preaching, Kali Maharaj blesses them. I love Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's use of sarcasm. This is great because I love sarcasm myself. Being pleased with their preaching, Kali Maharaj blesses them and bestows upon them, the Sahajas, abundant wealth, kanaka, women, kamini, and notoriety, pratishta. Wealth, kanaka, women, kamini, and notoriety, pratishta. Wow, he's really like cutting to the chase, right? Cutting to the bone, saying that people who are sahajas, they get their so-called blessing, actually entanglement, in the form of kanaka, kamini, and pratishta. Wealth, gorgeous
Not
women.
only
Yes.
not only sahajas, but on any of the Kali Chelas, as he was saying before, a lot of that these blessings that as they adhere to these Upadesamrtas, then he's like blessing them. And what is he blessing them with? They don't get pure bhakti. They get, wealth and
Anarthas.
sex, anarthas, and pratista, which all separate them. They're all aparat, separating them from Krishna Prem.
Wow. Your voice is coming through crystal clear now, Prabhu. I don't know what happened, but you're much more easy to hear. And you or Rasangi are certainly welcome to interrupt me anytime you like. If you have a comment to make, I welcome that. It's just me here, me and Rasangi. She's driving and you're driving, but at least your voice comes through more clear than Rasangi's does. Okay, I'll continue. Being bewildered by their propaganda, most people ignore Shuddha Bhakti and Bhagavat Bhajan and instead advance along the path of these new depraved philosophies that are based on material enjoyment. They become so intoxicated in this mundane enjoyment that they are completely unaware of just how they are ascending the peak of thorough self-destruction. Well, he's got one amazing language, ascending the peak of thorough self-destruction. I love it. And then he goes on addressing us. He says, "O faithful devotees, do not move in that direction. Become steadfastly situated upon the path of bhakti that was shown by great personalities such as Sri Sarup Damodar, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and Sri Narottam Thakur. This devotional path enables one to relish the pure Krishna Prem that was practiced and preached by Sri Gaura Nityananda. Reside in Vraj and always perform kirtan and smaran of Sri Radha Krishna's Nam, Rup, Guna, and Leela. The doctrine of Gaura Nagari is a bogus philosophy that is opposed to bhakti. Remain aloof from such bogus philosophies. The embodiments of Prem Bhakti, Sri Vishnu Priya and Sri Lakshmi Priya, as well as the embodiment of the holy Dham, Sri Neela Devi, perpetually serve Sri Gaurasundar, who is the combined form of Sri Radha Krishna. Knowing this to be true, take shelter of him, and following in the footsteps of the Vraj Gopis, day and night, render devotional service within the mind. By doing so, even that Prem Seva of Sri Radha Krishna, which is extremely difficult to obtain, will become easily attainable. Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur revealed the holy Dham of Mayapur. Oh, did you want to say anything there, Mahabodhi Prabhu? Snap, crackle, and pop. Are you able to get on or not? I can't. No voice is there. Shall I continue reading, or do you have something you'd like to share? Okay, I'll continue reading. I don't hear anything from you. Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur revealed the holy Dham of Mayapur. There he established the regular worship of deities, including Sri Gaura Nityananda, Sri Gaura Gadadhar, Sri Gaura Vishnu Priya, and Sri Gaura Lakshmi Priya. Now that's very interesting, because when I've gone to visit the Yoga Pit adjacent our Sri Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir of Prabhupada's ISKCON property, I would go to see these deities of Sri Gaura Nityananda, Sri Gaura Gadadhar, Sri Gaura Vishnu Priya, and Sri Gaura Lakshmi Priya. And I was wondering, why are they found here? And why aren't we worshiping them in ISKCON? Okay, I just hear noises, no words. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is talking about his father, Srila Bhakti Vinod. And he says, everywhere he preached the holy names of Sri Gaura and Sri Krishna, as well as the doctrine of Shuddha Bhakti. Besides composing many of his own books on Shuddha Bhakti, he translated many ancient devotional scriptures and wrote numerous commentaries, essays, and articles. Toward the end of his life, upon seeing the dearth of bhakti in society, he deprived the people by seizing his attempts to deliver them. Wow. He deprived, it almost sounds like he's criticizing his own father, but of course he wouldn't do that. Upon seeing the dearth of bhakti in society, he deprived the people by seizing his attempts to deliver them. On the pretext of old age, he adopted a vow of silence and remained immersed in manasa seva, devotional service performed within meditation. Overwhelmed with compassion for the soul suffering in this world, with tearful eyes, he looked toward me and ordered me to preach the doctrine of Shuddha Bhakti that was revealed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his eternal devotees. Wow, what a wonderful purport this is. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur expressing how his father ordered Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to preach the doctrine of Shuddha Bhakti, which he did through Srila Prabhupada and through all of Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers, revealing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his eternal devotees. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta goes on to say, he also instructed me to compose this Anuvriti commentary, illuminating his Piyusha Varshini Vritti commentary on Sri Upadesamrta. Taking the dust of his divine feet upon my head, I have followed his command. But just when I had completed commenting on 8 verses of Sri Upadesamrita, he departed this world from Swananda Shukada Kunj at Sri Radha Kund, and he entered into Sri Radha Krishna's eternal pastimes.
Was that he departed this world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought Swananda Shukada Kunj was in Mayapur. So maybe he means I'm guessing, I'm speculating that the Swananda Shukada Kunj he's referring to is the duplicate, parallel universe one, so to speak, that exists in Godrum Dweep, where Tridandi Swami stays. Can you confirm that, Mahabodhi Prabhu? Are you there? Can you?
The place of departure of Srila Saraswati Thakur. Is that what you're trying to find out?
Yeah. No. No.
Bhakti Vinod Thakur.
Yeah.
Actually, it sounds to me that he's talking about. To me, it sounds the Kunj is also in the spiritual world, right? That's the main part. And then there, so in other words,
yes, that makes sense. But also at Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he does have a duplicate Radha Kund there. I visited it, a Radha Kund, a Shama Kund, and a Govardhan Hill. But that is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's samadhi. I don't know. I don't think Bhaktivinoda Thakur's samadhi is actually there. I'm not sure.
It's in Godrum Dweep. It's in Godrum Dweep, across from the Jalangi in Mayapur.
You're confirming what I was saying earlier, that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's departure that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is describing here, Swananda Sukha Kunj, as far as I understood, that is in Godrum Dweep, correct?
Yes.
The Nirhari Prabhu, welcome. Baba Trini, my obeisance to you both. Yeah,
Krishna.
thank you. We're just reading the pure nectar of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, talking about his father, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and how Srila Bhaktivinoda was instructing Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to preach the doctrine of Shuddha Bhakti that was revealed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his eternal associates. And he's saying that he also instructed me to compose his Anuvriti commentary, Bhaktisiddhanta's Anuvriti commentary, illuminating Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Piyusha Varshini Vritti commentary on Sri Upadesamrta. And he's saying here that just when I completed commenting on 8 verses of the Sri Upadesamrita, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur departed this world from Swananda Sukada Kunj at Sri Radha Kund and entered into Sri Radha Krishna's eternal pastimes. So I asked Mahabodhi Prabhu, who we have the fortune to be with us tonight. It just started out with me and Rasangi, and I thought nobody else was coming. So I'm really happy that Mahabodhi Prabhu came, and now you two have come. So this is super. So I was just trying to confirm. I thought Swananda Sukada Kunj is in Godrum Dweep, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's home there, and where Tridandi Swami stays all the time. And
Yes.
okay, you're confirming, and it sounds like Mahabodhi is confirming, but Mahabodhi Prabhu is also commenting that place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur departed from is also in the spiritual world simultaneously.
Right. It's a
Right.
Dham, it's a holy Dham.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, Rasangi, you finally got home. Okay, super. So why don't you? Okay, so I'll just finish this sentence. Yeah. Okay, so it's your turn to read, Rasangi. O Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Can you see
I
the
don't
screen?
see any screen tonight at all.
Oh, okay. I'm sharing it. It's sharing right now, but I'll read if you can.
Prabhu, I had a question. I tried to contact Tridandi Maharaj, and I wonder of his state, because I saw your post, and then I sent him a message.
I didn't
But
get
I
any
haven't-
further. I didn't get any further response from Tridani Maharaj. He just told me let's see. Let me just go back to his message here. He's saying getting serious spasms on the left side near heart with my heart history with my heart history. I was very concerned, right? Because he's had problems in the past. These spasms went on all day yesterday from 11:30 p.m. even till now at 5 a.m. next day. They pumped so many drugs into me, not experiencing any extreme discomfort, except spasms are still there. I'll let you know later once the specialist doctor figures it out. I asked him a question if the nectar of instruction that Srila Narayan Raj compiled based on this Piyusha Vritti and Anuvriti commentaries of Bhaktisiddhanta Bhaktivinoda, if he had recorded it, and he said they're all there and in the website, Prabhu. Those are the last words he had for me. So oh yeah, so he also talked. I was also concerned that they weren't going to jab him, and he said he showed his certificates. So he's got certificates that he's negative. So these are the last words I heard from him. Whatever is on the page, that's it. Regarding, because I wanted to know if he had recorded Upadesamrita. That's the latest I have, and he sent that at 6:50 a.m. yesterday. So if I hear anything more, I'll let you know. I feel honored that he's communicating with me. I sent this out to Bhagavat Maharaj and Avadut Maharaj and Vasanti, which I thought she would send it to Shamarani.
Yeah, they're together.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just finish this then. These are the closing words of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on the Upadesamrita. He says, "Oh, Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, intimate devotee of Srimati Radhika, on this day of completing my Anuvriti commentary on the verses of Sri Upadesamrita, this destitute servant of yours offers it into your lotus hands. May you be pleased, all glories unto you. Remembering Sri Gaura Chandra on this 22nd day of the lunar month of Bhadrapad in the year 1914 at Chandrasekhar Bhavan in Mayapur, I have completed this Anuvriti commentary." So Rasangi, you listened to all of this. Do you have any comments on anything that I was reading?
Well, not really, just the glorification of Sri Radha Kund. You know, I mean, just it hit me that Radha Kund is as dear to Krishna as Srimati Radhika herself. That's pretty wild. That really, that made me offer my mental dandavats.
Oh, nice.
Sastang dandavats to Sri Radha Kund.
And the photo I have behind me here is Sri Radha. So I was asking a question earlier at Nirhari Prabhu and Bhavatrini that here Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was mentioning that the embodiments of Prema Bhakti, Sri Vishnu Priya, Sri Lakshmi Priya, you know, there that in the Holy Dham Bhaktivinoda Thakur revealed in Mayapur in Yoga Pit, that regular worship of Gaur Nityananda, Gaur Gadadhar, Gaur Vishnu Priya, Gaur Lakshmi Priya. And I'm just wondering why Srila Prabhupada didn't, besides worship of Gaura Nityananda, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, why Prabhupada didn't establish Shri Gaura Gadadhar and Shri Gaura Vishnu Priya and Shri Gaura Lakshmi Priya temples anywhere. Do you have any response to that?
Myself?
Either of you.
Yeah, this reminds me of a letter that Gunagrahi Prabhu Maharaj wrote to Prabhupada from Buffalo, I believe, and you can find it in the archives, where he wanted to establish a Radha Krishna temple. And Prabhupada mentions to him that because of the quality of the public, my battery is running down. Because of the general public, what quality of people will be joining, that he should, that it was very difficult, that he needed at least 10 devotees, initiated devotees, to take care of Radha Krishna. And so Prabhupada suggested to him to establish Jagannath deities. And so Prabhupada had to imagine on starting the mission to go into really high esoterics. As we advance, it's like the vision we have of Guru. First is Nityananda, but ultimately, for those who advance up to Madhurya Ras and like that, it becomes a representative of Radharani. So these are more and more esoteric truths that I think, in like Gaudiya Math and Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Maharaj, and Prabhupada established pretty much very similar, that the deity of like Radha Vinod Bihari and is actually Krishna. Meditate. You see, the color of Krishna is not dark, and just remember how Prabhupada and some of our temples in the West Coast established Krishna with a light complexion. He's actually meditating over Sri Radha. I can't think for what Prabhupada thought. I'm not. I don't want to touch that.
No, I don't want to ask anyone to speculate. I was just wondering if anyone had any background information. Yeah.
Historically, I can't. Yeah, that's the only thing that I can remember, is that Gunagrahi asked Srila Prabhupada to establish Radha Krishna worship. And he said, no, you have to grow in amount of Brahmins in order to take care of them properly. And that might
Thank
be
you.
one reason. And the other is the great mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. Without him, we can't go anywhere. But yeah, I cannot enter that in saying, oh, I know what Prabhupada thought or what he was
Yeah,
reasoning.
no, I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't have asked you. Excuse me, because no, I don't think anybody has an answer.
Mhm.
We were
But maybe
reading.
at Chitananda Prabhu, or maybe some of the old, maybe Shamarani Didi, we can ask her if she has any documentation or like that on reasons why
Okay.
Prabhupada
Okay,
established that.
thank you. Yeah, Mahabodhi Prabhu, Rasangi Prabhu, and myself, we were reading earlier about by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was condemning the Sahaja groups, and specifically he was talking about the Gora Nagaris, where they see Gora Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the hero and gopis as the heroines, and he was condemning this idea, and he was saying that as a result of this kind of worship, that Kali Maharaj will bestow upon them Kanaka, Kamini, and Pratishta. Kanaka meaning wealth, Kamini meaning beautiful women, and Pratishta, notoriety, fame. And I was saying, wow, that that's what the non-devotees get. But Mahabodhi pointed out that even our own devotees, even those of us who are trying to become Vaishnavas, we can also be quote unquote blessed by by such anarthas if we're not careful. Ignoring Shuddha
And
Bhakti.
you'll find, yeah, you find also in Manashiksha by Raghunath Das Goswami that is the one of the most grievous, actually. And Madhurya Kalambini too, you'll find the 5 different apparats that ending with Pratishta, which is the worst. And it's the most difficult. The other ones can be eliminated almost to nil, almost really. But if Pratishta is still there,
The others can be eliminated by what did you say? Excuse me? The others can be eliminated by what?
He said almost to nil.
To nil.
On our chanting, yeah, on our chanting and doing our bhajan, are prescribed, as prescribed by our Guru Maharaj. Those can be worked on and controlled or eliminated. But Pratishta is the last one that lingers, even when devotees are pretty advanced, especially among sannyasis, is a little a difficult one, and that can bring in Madhurya Kamini. You'll find that Pratishta actually is it'll open the door again to all the other anarthas to come in.
Wow, very dangerous. Yeah. So I'm right now, I brought things up to chapter 11 of the book called The Essence of All Advice. Srila Narayan Maharaj is speaking on the Shri Upadesamrta. And this is one class I found from him in San Francisco, May 31st, 1997. And I don't know, besides me, who else is able to see the screen if they would like to read, or am I the only one that can see the screen? Can anyone say? Bhavatrini, are you driving?
Yeah, we can. No.
Yeah, we were. We just parked. We were at the bank. We had, things that we couldn't avoid.
Yeah, go ahead and read.
Okay. You want me,
Okay, why don't you two take turns for a couple of pages, and one of you take the role of Srila Narayan Maharaj, and the other one can be the devotee. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'll be the
If we
devotee.
can switch back.
Okay, so Bhavashri,
All right, I can start.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, let's see. We have read this 10th shloka and also some of the purport. I want you to read page 87, second paragraph. Quote, after taking to devotional service, unquote. Devotee reads, shloka 10, purport.
Oh, you want me to be you're the devotee. Go ahead. Sorry.
After taking to devotional service under the regulative principles, a person may come to the platform of spontaneous love of Godhead, following on the footsteps of great devotees like Narada and Sanaka and Sanatan. Can you?
What do you have to say about that, Srila Narayan Maharaj?
Yeah, she just turned off the phone. Hold
Okay.
on.
Turn the screen. Sorry.
Screen going out. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Don't
touch anything. All right. Can you explain why he has said service under the regulative principles? A person may come to the platform of spontaneous love of Godhead. Why has he said may?
Devotee, because it is not guaranteed that just by practicing the Vaidhi Bhakti process, they will automatically come to
Oh, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. I think that everyone here is understanding this fact. He has said may. He has not given any guarantee for this. Those who cultivate regulative principles and then come to in the association of a realized Rashika Bhakta in the line of Rupa Goswami will get spontaneous love. Otherwise, simply by following these regulative principles for lakhs and lakhs of births, one cannot come to the platform of spontaneous love. But we hope to be fortunate to come in the line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We like to be called Rupanuga Vaishnavas. Why? Can anyone answer? Why do we want to be Rupanuga Vaishnavas and glorify Swamiji as Rupanuga?
When he says Swamiji, he's referring to Srila Prabhupada, right?
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Devotee, because Srila Rupa Goswami appeared in this world most recently. He's Rupa Manjari, and so you scroll too much. Let's see. Okay, I got it. Because Srila Rupa Goswami appeared in this world most recently. He is Rupa Manjari and is so close to Krishna and Srimati Radhika. Following very closely in his footsteps as a Rupanuga Vaishnava is the only way to attain the kind of closeness, that kind of intimacy, that kind of bhakti. Can you tell?
Yes. Can you tell what is the difference between Raganuga and Rupanuga?
Devotee. Raganuga means to follow the real Brajvasis in any of the rasas, such as Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. The real Brajvasis who have raga are called Ragatmika Bhaktas, but Rupanuga specifically means those following Rupa Manjari who is serving Srimati Radhika.
Rupanuga means especially Rupa Goswami's own mood. In his books, he has explained all kinds of rasa and all kinds of rati, but what was his special mood towards Krishna? How did he serve, and in what mood? If anyone follows Rupa Goswami's mood, he will advance in Manjari Bhav, otherwise not. Vallabhacharya is not Rupanuga. Swarup Damodar is not Rupanuga. What is he? Swarup Damodar himself is Lalita. He is Rupa Goswami's guru, and Rupa serves under him. But yet, Rupa has a special service to Srimati Radhika, which Lalita does not have. Swarup Damodar serves Srimati Radhika and Krishna equally, but with some partiality for Radhika. But Rupa is totally absorbed in serving Srimati Radhika. This is the mood of Rupa Goswami.
Thank you.
Today we learn from
Mahabodhi Prabhu, do you have any comment to make? Are you able to speak? Are you still driving?
We can comment on that. That's like,
Well, it sounds like Nurhari's got a comment. Nurhari's got one coming up. I just thought I'd defer to you since we haven't.
All glories to Nirhari. I just listened.
Okay, Shri Nirhari Prabhu, we're waiting to hear for your commentary on this most
Oh
important.
my God, no. I'm the last person you want.
We are waiting on pins and needles for you to comment.
So what do you want me to comment?
You started to say something.
Oh, no,
Yes.
just who was it? Today we learned that actually who was the first Rupanuga, and it's actually Jiva Goswami, but he actually organized all the writings for all the Goswamis pretty much. So even the Sandarbhas are actually there are Gopal Bhatta Goswami, but he was so humble. He gave all the work actually to Jiva Goswami organized it and published it. But he's the protector of Rasa Acharya, Rupa Goswami. He's called Rasa Acharya. And that's all I can say.
Very good. We all the way from Pakistan, Nitya Leela Devi Dasi she's traveled across the ocean. She's gone over the mountains and the plains of Punjab. And she's arrived here to share with us about Radha Kund. So your turn, Nitya Leela. So happy you could make it. So you do the next page, please, Nitya Leela, and then we'll pause for comments from Shri Mahabodhi Prabhu and more from Nirhari and Rasangi if she has anything, and Baba Trini. Okay, please continue, Nitya Leela.
Sure. Okay. If anyone has a mood of Yashoda Maiya, if anyone has a mood of friends like Subala and Sudama, or if they have any
Sridham, not Sudam, but Sridham.
Sridama, or they have any mood of Lalita, Vishakha, Chitra, the Ashta Sakhis, they are not Rupung, they are not Rupanoga, they are Raganoga. They are superior to Rupa Goswami. Swarupa Damodara and Raya Ramananda are superior to Rupa Goswami because they are Lalita and Vishakha. But we cannot follow Swarupa Damodara and Raya Ramananda. We cannot follow Lalita and Vishakha. Their mood is separate. They are above our touch and we are not aspiring for that mood. What do we want? The mood of Rupa Goswami, sorry, Rupa Manjari, always serving Srimati Radhika, happy in her happiness and unhappy in her distress.
Please stop there for now. This is too much for my brain to comprehend. I'm trying to absorb what's being said here. This is very so much substance here. Wait a minute. If anyone has the mood of friends like Subal and Sridham, okay, or even the mood of Yashodamai, or if they have any mood of Lalita, Vishak, Chitra, the Ashakis, they are not Rupanuga. They are Raganuga. They are superior to Rupa Goswami. Go ahead.
So that the clarity on that is simple. Those who have spontaneous love, like whether there be Kahar boys, whether it be in Vatsalya Ras, Yasoda and Nanda, or whether the other relatives, or whether they're in service relationship, or whether they're cows or things, they in the spiritual world in Goloka Vrindavan, they're called Raganuga. Rupanuga specifically makes the distinction. Like here he was talking about Lalita and Vishaka, and as we know, also as Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda and others, they're superior, that they are Sakis. So in Sakis, they're Raganuga, but when we say Rupanuga, that means following in the mood of Rupa Goswami, Rupa and Rupa Manjari. Rupa Manjari is a Manjari. So Manjari Bhav, those are following in Rupa or Rupanugas, they are following in Manjari Bhav. That means all of the different residents of Braja, they all have Raganuga Bhakti. They all have spontaneous loving relationship with Radha and Krishna, or specifically with Krishna, if not Radha. But Rupanuga in Lalita and Vishaka, they have particularly a relationship with Krishna, but they're also favorable as friends and in relationship to Radharani, but they're also considered at some points to be like Sakis, are all like more or less on the equal platform with enjoyment with Krishna. But the Rupanuga, following the Manjaris, following Rupa Manjari, they're all servants of Srimati Radhika. They don't desire a separate relationship with Krishna. They serve Radhika, but they see Krishna as the paramour, as the prananath of Srimati Radhika. But their only interest is in pleasing Srimati Radhika, facilitating the meetings from Radha and Krishna. And when she's in dire separation, because they also have Tadatma, which means whenever Radharani feels happiness, they feel happiness. Whenever feels sad, they feel sad. So whatever Radharani's feelings is comes directly to those Manjaris following Rupanuga that have that Tadatmic relationship with Radhika. So Rupanuga means those following in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami in the Manjari mood. They're called Rupanugas, where others, the Raganuga. Very okay. You got that?
Well, sort of, but I'm trying to digest this. Are you at home now, Mahabodhi? It's much nicer to see you than to see a black box. And same with Nurhari, we just see a black. The only person I see here
because
is,
we're in the car.
Oh, you're still driving. Okay. Yeah, I only see Nitya Leela.
Okay. Here.
I need Nitya Leela's in black too. Everyone's black tonight.
Here we are. I don't
You
know
look like you fit right in with the Muslims, the secret agent, Nitya Leela. Okay, so no, I want to go back to Mahabodhi. I have a question here. Just a second, Hari Prabhu, please. I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just trying to absorb this statement here. I'm trying to get that Sarup Damodar and Ramananda Roy are superior to Rupa Goswami because they are Lalita and Vishaka. Okay, so because they're Lalita and Vishaka, does that
they're Sakis.
They're Sakis.
Yeah. Sanjaris are younger, and they're younger, and they're servants. Sakis are in different groups, and they have usually a direct relationship with Krishna. So Lalita is a group leader, Vishaka is also a group, and Radhika is also a group leader, but they also, with eight other Sakis, form Asta Sakis, which are the primary Saki friends of Radhika. Now the Manjaris are servants to the Sakis. They're younger and they're servant, and specifically they're different Sakis. Not all the they're different Manjaris. Not all the Manjaris either are Rupanuga. Okay, only those that are following Rupa Manjari. And Rupa Manjari's specialty is that he serves Radhika exclusively. And therefore, those who are following in his footsteps are exclusively following, trying to serve Srimati Radhika. And that also means serving Krishna in the fact that Krishna is listed as the Parma. They're not trying to have a direct relationship with Krishna like the Sakis will. They won't. They don't want to. They don't want that.
Okay, one second. You're very sharp and you're very deep, all of you. I'm just a dullard. So I'm trying to get this. So, all right. So
it takes a little minute there.
I give it to Narihari. Maybe you can do a better job explaining than I do.
No, it's not that you're not doing a better job.
Terrific job.
I was question again. I'll just
what I was trying to say. Yeah, to you, Prabhu Gora. We all, we've been now reading this as Mahabodhi ourselves. We've been with Gurudev, and these are concepts that because of our my nature, I'm so thick. It took a while to discern, but that's the speciality of Gurudev. He fine-tuned. He said, "Be one-pointed." And where is our goal? And so Siddhanti Maharaj, who's the sannyas disciple of Srila Gurudev, Narayan Maharaj, he was explaining real nice how the Sakis are like buddies, are like friends. So they will tease Radharani. She would reveal everything. And so who she reveals her mind to is Rupa Manjari. It's very, very intimate relationship. So in one way we see, of course, it's that the Sakis are viewhas, are expansions of Radhe. And like Mahabodhi was saying, they are at the level they can enjoy. And there is one time where they married Lalita to Krishna in a play. They're playing. There's a place. Mahabodhi, remember the spot where that occur? Is in Braja.
I thought it was on the footsteps of Govardhan, but I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, but yeah. And so, like you said, we are all our acharyas. I just heard this too in this 3 days of celebration of both Baman Mahashila Baman Maharaj's appearance day and Gurudev's disappearance day, and a lot of Siddhanta was also explained, and that we are actually that one of the things is that we love Krishna. We love Krishna. We see, you have to just see, is that Vishwanath Chakravarti, he just puts us in the vision and the feelings and sentiments of the inhabitants of Raja. I remember the first time I got a book by Sannyas, a godbrother, and he said, look, this is the viewpoint of the Brajvasis. And so with our acharyas, and what we heard is that even Gurudev was saying that all acharyas are.
Your voice cut out. Okay, this is Nitya Leela, are you getting all of this? Is this sinking in for you? I know you're much more sattvic than me. You just read you can see you're muted right now. You read a very substantial paragraph. I guess the question is still existing for me before anyone says anything more, because it's information overload for me right now. The question I have, if, as Nrihari Prabhu says, that Rupa Goswami is so intimate that Srimati Radharani is telling all of her secrets to Rupa Goswami, but yet we're reading that Ramananda Roy and Swarup Damodar, Lalita and Vishaka, are even superior to Rupa Goswami. So how is that? If Rupa Goswami is so, I'm not doubting this, I'm trying to understand. If Rupa Goswami is so intimate that he or she, as Rupa Manjari, is getting the secrets of Radharani, well, what could be more intimate than that? How is it that
the Sakis?
So here's the distinction.
Yeah.
I'll try to make it some simplistic. Srila Prabhupada came first to give us who is Krishna. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that relationship was basically Vaidhi Bhakti.
Yeah.
Okay, so in Vaidhi Bhakti, just like you read for the purport of Bhakti Siddhanta earlier, it said it's not guaranteed that one will come to the level of Raganuga Bhakti or spontaneous simply by performing Vaidhi Bhakti, because
right.
it's done out of sort of rules and regulations and somewhat out of fear. Okay.
Right.
So Raganuga Bhakti, when Narayan Maharaj came, he came to give Raganuga Bhakti. And in Raganuga Bhakti, none of the residents of Vrindavan, in Goloka Vrindavan, they do not see Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Right.
They see him as my son, my lover, my friend.
Yes. When I went there 2 years ago, I asked Panchagoda Prabhu, could you please provide me with someone that could take me around so I could go on Parikram? So he gave me a young man who was a Brijabasi. He was born and raised there. He's from Renuka, which is like a village there in Rajmandala. And as he was driving me around on a scooter to Madan Mohan, Radha Damodar, etc., I said, wow, it's just amazing to be in the village of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he said, no, Prabhu, do not say that. He is our Lala. he is our darling boy. He is our,
Yes.
and I thought, here's a real Brijapasi. As soon as I called
Yes.
Krishna God, he corrected me. No, don't call him God. He's our darling boy of the village.
Because
and I thought, wow, now I've entered. Yes, go on, sorry.
Also in Vrindavan is Vrindavaneshwari. The master Vrindavan is Shrimati Radhika. And therefore, when you'll see, even though Krishna is there, that everyone, if you go around and you can say Hare Krishna, they'll mostly say Radhe Radhe, Jai
Right.
Radhe. Okay,
Yeah.
because they understand. So let's get back to your question. There
Thank
are
you.
two segments there. In other words, there are Sakis and there are Manjaris, not the same. Sakis have a direct, friendly relationship with Krishna, okay, and they can also enjoy with Krishna. That's their and they're nitya siddhas. Generally, they're never come to this material world,
Right.
and if they do come, they're never in Maya. They don't like that. Okay, the Manjaris are younger. They're like 11 years old, more or less like that. 11 to 13,
12
and
half,
they're what, 10 and a half, okay, whatever the younger age they're also always engaged. They're engaging as like maidservants. They're sometimes called polyadasis. They're engaged in maidservants, and specifically, if you were to say they're younger and they follow on the directions of the Sakis, they're group leaders. So
Right.
therefore, Vishaka is a group leader and Lalita is a group leader of so many Sakis and so many Manjaris. Okay. Now, Rupa Manjari happens to be the topmost of the Manjaris that are directly serving Shrimati Radhika and also indirectly serving Krishna. They make arrangements for Radhika to meet with Krishna, whatever, for the happiness of Shrimati Radhika. And when Radhika defeats Krishna, whether it's wrestling or in word games stuff, they become extremely happy, clapping, Jai Radhe! And so when it comes to intimate relationships in the kunjas and stuff, the Manjaris are able to go into the kunjas because they're younger. But not the Sakis. The Sakis, they don't, because they have a different relationship with Radharani and with Krishna individually. And the Manjaris are always in a service relationship. It's sort of like, so in that way, you can say the Sakis are more superior to the Manjaris because they have, in the Saki mood, there are independent kind of they're able to enjoy with Krishna and in a friendly relationship, and they have many servants under them. Okay.
They kind of get extra access. They have a special pass, sort of.
Actually, it's the other way around. The Manjaris have a special access, like we know from, I was just mentioning from Shrimati Radhika, that they're able to, like with many of the stories you'll see, Radha and Krishna, they're dancing, and then they come underneath the tree and they're tired, they're perspiring. So what's happening? So Rupa Manjari is massaging the Radhika's feet, and then Rati Manjari is also there seeing with thirsty eyes. And then Rupa Manjari, he acknowledged her and said, by his eyes, and say, come, take over the massage. I will fan them with the chamra. So when Radha and Krishna wake in the morning from the Kunj, also the Manjaris came in. They helped dress Radha and Krishna. They helped put on the ungments and put on the chandan, all these things, which the Sakis don't do. The Sakis are waiting outside to when Radha and Krishna will come out again.
Yeah.
So that at least gives you some distinction. Someone else can chip in if they want.
Well, what Mary Hari was trying to explain is that even though Ramananda Roy is Vishaka and he's superior, and that we don't try to follow and become Ramananda Roy or become a Saki. We want to follow and become a Manjari. But it's so high to be a Manjari that they can go in and witness the most intimate pastimes in the kunjas between Radha and Krishna, like Mahabhuti is saying. But Ramananda Roy, being a Saki, had never witnessed this. So when Lord Chaitanya showed that he was Radha and Krishna as one, he fainted. That was
There is, yeah, there is a
That's
particular
similar
pastime.
to what the Manjaris witness.
So in one,
Is that correct,
also the
Mahabodhi?
Sakis are vyuhas, meaning
Hold on a second.
expansions.
Are you just checking? 1 second, Prabhu. Baba Trini was, are you asking for Mahabodhi's confirmation?
Yes, I'm asking if what I'm saying that I'm
Yeah, before we go
also
to
from
your
Marie.
Hari, can you just confirm Mahabodhi, Prabhu?
Confirmed.
Okay. And Nuri Hari, was that what you were
Well,
trying to say? I'm speaking on.
Yeah, that, you know, it might
Just
be a
got
little confusing. Oh, sorry, I muted it. Okay, it might be a little confusing because you start thinking, oh, they're superior, they're inferior, but in the way of intimacy, we could say the Manjaris, they get the best, and they get to experience, even though it says the highest ecstasy of Madanakya Mahabhav, only Radharani can experience that. But the Manjaris, because of their intimate
Like,
association,
what's the word Mahabodhi was saying?
Tadadmika,
Tadak.
Tadadmika, they're one in mind with Sri Radha. She doesn't have to even say anything. They already are doing it. They're called kinkaris, kinkara. Kinkara means that, what else can I do? They're totally ready to 24/7. They are actually 24/7 serving the divine couple. And so these are things that we need to read and study, Gora, and it's not something we're going to learn in 40 minutes of discussion.
Nitya Leela, do you have any
clear.
questions, Nitya Leela, based on anything you've heard so far? Or do you want Nitya Leela?
Yeah, it's very well clarified about Sakis and Manjari's position. That is quite very high actually. And they have access to Radharani to discuss all personal things or anything in devotional service or in affection. So obviously their level is very high, and description is very well clarified actually. Yeah.
So there's also one important point as well.
Yes.
And that is that we cannot aspire to be Bhakti. So the highest level that the conditioned jiva soul, as jivas, okay, the highest level we can go at from as jiva soul is to the Manjari platform. Okay, because the Saki, they are actually nitya siddhas. Okay, they never come to this material. When they do come to this material world, they don't really take a material. They don't have any illusion like that, maha illusion, mahamaya, that because they're eternally in the spiritual plane, whether they're coming as Surup Damodar in different form, or they're coming but Ramananda Roy or whatever, where we as conditioned souls, if we associate with these Rupanuga Bhaktas, pure Uddhama Rasik devotees, by their mercy and by our endeavor, combined with their mercy, we could aspire to be able to attain that type of service and love that that followers of Rupa Manjari can have. We cannot, if you want to aspire to be a Saki, it is not a very different type of mood. So therefore, this is like shooting for the elephant, right? It's the most highest platform that the jiva soul can attain from our position. So it's not like when we think of material, well, this is higher and this is lower. Everything is a loving relationship, but the relationships are different. And so this particular type of relationship favors Radhika more than even Krishna. And so Rupanuga, specifically being Rupanuga, means that specifically inclined toward Radhika, has love for both Radha and Krishna, but specifically inclined to Radhika. All of those, whether it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur, whether it's Bhaktisiddhanta, whether it's Srila Prabhupada, whether it's Srila Gurudev, with anyone in our line, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Baladev Vidyabhushan, going all back through Shamananda, Srinivas, Narottam, Krishnadas Kaviraj, all the way up through Jiva, being, as Narhari said, sort of the first Rupanuga following following Rupa Manjari. All of them are Sakis into the all of them, excuse me, are Manjaris following in Rupa Nuga line. So we're, by our association, that Mahat Sangha with those particular Param Bhaktas is the most rarest thing that can be found in the material world, where it says by Yudhisthira in the Mahabharatas, what is that most rarest thing in this world? Is one lava 16th second of association with a Mahapurush. The most rarest thing, because even such a small fragment of association. And later in the third canto, Devahuti was also saying, and there that even if one is simply, when spoken in the lecture, even Raimar said, even if one's talking simply some material thing, or simply takes prasadam, etc., it's immeasurable the benefit that takes place. That is, they get very good benefit. And if one is doing these things with consciousness, serving and these things, the measurement for that type of association is unmeasurable, unknown. So we are all, those of us that are following Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, anyone in our Gaudiya line that have these kinds of association, this is the mercy that allows us to move forward in this spiritual path, because our endeavor is, we have to put some endeavor, but the endeavor has to be there, but without the mercy, then there is no spiritual advancement, because spiritual advancement to get to the realm of Goloka Vrindavan has to have kripa also, that has to be given. That's when it says Sudasattva Visheshatma, that has to be given from one who has this love of Krishna. So the things that what Nayahari was saying is, these things, these relationships can be found in Radha Krishna Ganadesh Deepika, when you read Nectar of Instruction, when you read Nectar of Devotion, these Brihad Bhagavatamrita, any of these things, and later the discussions of Rupa Goswami, Lalita Madhava, and the other, I just forgot the other name, the other Madhava, and then the books by Vishwanath Chakravarti,
Vidagdha Madhava.
Vidagdha Madhava. All these things are explaining these different love relationships, and this is what the other half of what Prabhupada wanted to teach to us. So often we say Prabhupada wanted to just get to Varnashram Ashram. That's a particular point of living in this material world, but he wanted to get properly how to do it. But the complement of the philosophy is to also not just have a Vaidhi Bhakti, which we were introduced to because we didn't have a sufficient enough adhikar to know anything else, but also top it off understanding what this Raganuga, this pure love between Radha and Krishna, as exemplified by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that's what he actually came to give.
Wow. Thank you. I just wanted to say, in terms of your lighting and the way you've had things set up, this has been one of the best yet, Mahabodhi Prabhu, because a lot of the times you had the camera facing the light, and so it's just, or maybe it's just your effulgence, I don't know, but
I'm in a different room.
Yeah, I mean, even this is glaring a little bit, so it's kind of like fuzzy. But I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, I want you to have like to match your first class presentation of philosophy. To have first class.
It's better. I think it was better when it was blank, and then you don't have to see my face.
Nityalila, would you like to finish the page that you started, please? I hope you didn't mind that I cut you off so that our Prabhus could unzip the file a little bit for us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so sometimes Lalita can chastise.
Okay.
Srimati Radhika.
Sometimes Lalita can chastise Srimati Radhika. How? Dhurte Vrajendra Tanaya Tano Sushta Vamya Ma Dakshina Bhavo Kalankini Lagvaya Radhe Giram Shrunu Hitam iti Sikhayantim Devim Gunai So Lalitam Namami Sri Lalita Ashtakam 4. I offer pranama unto Sri Lalita Devi, the charming treasure house of all good qualities, who instructs Srimati Radhika in this way. O Kalankini, unchaste one, Radhe, listen to my good instructions which are favorable for you. Vrajendra Nandana is very crafty, Dhurta. Don't display your mode of gentle submission to him. Instead, in all circumstances, always be contrary. She can say, Dhurte Vijendra Tanaye, don't have any link with Dhruta Vijendra Nandana, to whom she is telling this. Radhika, don't speak. When he comes, you should sit like this, frowning. And if he wants to keep his head on your feet, you should move your feet away like this, not looking at him. Lalita, can you speak to Radhika like this? Okay.
You want to just finish the last part?
When Radhika is quite absorbed in viraha, separation, Lalita will pacify her, saying, "Oh, you should not weep. Krishna is here." In the same way, Swarupa Damodara was telling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "Why are you lamenting for Vijendra Nandana? Vijendra is not far away from here. He is here." At once, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took his knees, scratched the earth, and said, "Oh, I will see. Oh, Vijendra Nandana is here." He became so happy and took Swarupa Damodara's hand in his. Rupa Goswami will not do this. If Srimati Radhika is weeping, then Rupa Manjari also will weep. She will do the same thing as Radhika. When Radhika is meeting with Krishna, then Rupa Manjari thinks that she is meeting with Krishna. If Srimati Radhika is unhappy, then Rupa Manjari will be unhappy equally. This is Rupa Nuga.
Okay, stop there, please. Any comments from anyone, please? Rasangi, you have not said anything recently. Do you have something you want to say?
I'm just listening, and I've been hearing this for years and years now, and it still is difficult to grasp and really, really understand. So it's really, really helpful to take it apart, unpack it, like you say.
Yeah, so much is here. Wow.
And I've been reading Mana Shiksha and the showers, what's it called?
Showers of nectar.
The
Madhurya Kadambini.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur book, and studying. I've been and still. So thank you, Mahabhuti and Vihari. I appreciate the really making it simple, simplifying it.
Mahabhuti, you have something to say on what was just read by Nityalila?
I think one of the points here that Lalita, that sometimes even Radharani can be like fearful of Lalita, because Lalita is trying to say, you know, to Radha, don't give in. Don't, you know, you should be contrary. You should be, and that's why, you know, when he puts his, you know, wants to touch your feet, move your feet away. To tell, you know, call him. And sometimes you'll see that Krishna, and he'll make statements in Rasa Panchadaya and Bhagavatam that he's more pleased with the gopis and the Braja Devis, that when he's getting chastised, when they call lumput, you cheater, you nonsense, and Krishna becomes, I said, he's more happier than that than all the stutis that you found in the Vedas, and Om Sahasra Sirasa Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasra. So all of these different Brahminical stutis and stuff, he's not as pleased as simply when, you know, when Lalita
Getting the sauce.
When he's getting the sauce. And so Radharani is in this contrary mood. She's in the leftist, which means that with the other side, Chandravali, she's always, oh yes, whatever, Prabhu, whatever, yes. And she's always in this sweet, very, very submissive role.
Really?
But
I didn't know that was a distinction. Okay.
Yes, and Radhika is on the leftist moods, which means like she goes into man. Sometimes, Krishna went to another gopi, you can see he's got, and so sometimes Krishna didn't do these things, but she accused him. Immediately she gets mad, get out of here, I don't want to see you. Then she sends her manjaris. I'm sorry, Krishna, you know, she doesn't want to see. Well, then Krishna, no, what can I do to, and so then Krishna is trying to figure out some means whatsoever to break her mind. to, and so there's so many nice stories. Like one time that Krishna, he appeared, and he was like coming like a Brahmin with, and he was asking for he's asking for Dawn. And so we went to Radhika's house in disguise, and she came back and gave him, flour and sugar and all these things like that. Then she could see it was Krishna. So she just picked up the whole tully and just dumped it on his head, all the stuff on his head. And then, but then Krishna saw her, and she had a smile, and Krishna's happy. Now her man is broke, because when her mood is in this man, in this kind of anger, you cannot approach her, she's just like, so he's always trying to figure out some methodology or use the different devotees to, when Radha becomes in mad, sometimes he'll get accused inappropriately. He didn't do anything, but he got sidelined or something. And immediately, he'll get shot. Or Lalita will say, don't come here. We don't want your nonsense person here. You are very wonderful. You're saying this forest is used. Where have you planted any trees? Where have you taken care of all the thing? You're kind of, this is my Vrindavan Ishwari's place. This is, not, we're planting all the flowers. What Manjari vine have you even planted here? Why is this your forest? So Krishna's getting chastised left and right many times.
And he loves it. And he loves it.
Yes.
It's like the other day, I'm trying to remember, but I believe it's either Rati or it could be actually Rupa Manjari, and Krishna is delayed. It's delayed for the meeting, and and I think it's Bro Lalita, how he is. He's just so surrendered. He's very humble to love. He surrender. So the Chandravali, their camp, they enticed Krishna to come, and so he's there, but he's trying to figure out a way to get out.
This
at
is
that
Rupa
moment.
Manjari.
Yeah, Rupa Manjari comes running. They're very, very, very intelligent how to please Krishna. So what apparently looks contrary and it's actually the play of love, and it's how when Radharani enters man, she's upset that when she leaves Rasa dance, because she knows that no one can please Krishna as much as she does.
So, but Rupa Manjari.
So Rupa Manjari comes in running, says, "Hurry, hurry!" We remember.
Yeah.
There's some excuse.
A demon is attacking.
A demon is attacking Nanda and
Mother
Nanda
Yashoda.
Baba and Mother Yashoda Maya. Come right now, and it's explained that through glances, Krishna is saying to Rupa Manjari, "Thank you. I don't know how to get out of this one," and so he uses that, and they leave. Krishna is always happiest with Sri Radha, and the Manjari's main thing is just how to put them together. Gurudev Sri Maharaj used to say, "Well, what do you like? To Krishna be and Radha be separate? You want this separate? We are supposed to have the separation mood, but we want them to be together." And another thing, like Gurudev, mentioned one time to us about Trina, he said, "I want to, as a Manjari, I want to be at that door, be ordered to stop Krishna from coming in.
I want to tell Krishna, no, you cannot come in.
No, you cannot come in." And if you see it from
so
an
just
external,
like
go ahead.
Mahabhuti.
just like the other part of your story, that when he was late and then they realized he's not going to make it, then when some of the Manjari said, "Oh, he probably got sidelined by this other group," so they decided to send Rupa Manjari. But one of the interesting things in the camp of Chandravali, they had so many guards posted, so to stop people from coming, the other camp from coming in. So part of the thing that Nirhari said, that the first
Excuse me, excuse me, Prabhuji, I'm sorry for interrupting you. What do you mean stop the other party from coming in? Coming in where? To be with Radha and Krishna?
So in other words, the location where Chandravali has her like kunjas, right, has her meeting place. So she has her followers also, Sakis and Manjari followers. Okay. Yeah. So the other camp, which would be Radharani's camp, right? Okay. So when Krishna's now there in their camp, they have posted guards out, to make sure no one comes and disturbs. So,
Rupa Manjari was coming all by herself. So instead of coming in and asking permission, she was running full speed, running right past him, at full speed and running and then yelling, I got to see Krishna, Krishna. And then, like Baba Trini said, the demons attacking Vrindavan, Nanda, and in this way, Chandrabhai, but you don't have to go right now. And Chris, oh yes, I have to stop. The demon's coming. And in this way, like Nihari said, that they exchange of glances. In this way, Rupa Manjari was able to capture Krishna back from Chandravali's camp and bring her back to where Srimati Radhika is. So the Manjaris will do all these different kinds of services. They'll go in Abhisar, they'll take Radharani at different times when the full moon night or on the dark night, dressed in different way. They'll take them through the forest. They'll arrange meetings, and they'll between Radha and Krishna, and sometimes with the different cowherd boys, they're discussing what they'll go and take different services with Radharani. They'll help bathe and dress her in the morning. They'll help go to Mother Yasoda's in the morning also and help cook all these amazing preparations. So there's so many different services that you can read about as you get further into some of the books of the Goswamis. But when Prabhupada he gave us the essence of these things so that this would attract our hearts and we could go further. Because in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srila Prabhupada said you have to read these books. And so I'm saying, how are we supposed to read these books? He didn't translate them. So as we developed our devotional service, then what happens if you become attached to Radha and Krishna? You're going to want to hear more and read more and associate more. And as you do that, all these different types of understandings with the blessings of Guru. In other words, you have to be also anugatya, not you just do something on your own. But if you're following their instructions, and then you're trying and you have some taste to do this, and you're sincere. One second, my wife's saying something. Go ahead.
Gurudev says in his lecture, when you desire like that and you're sincere, Krishna will automatically send that guru or that devotee. So
that one of the things she's saying, I don't know if you heard, but when a person is sincere in their heart, because Narayan Maharaj told me this also personally, is that when the sincerity is in the heart, then Chaitya Guru will contact that bona fide guru and he'll send the guru to you. Not that you come and I'm getting initiated by the regional guru or some kind of thing like that, but but when you're sincere at heart, the bona fide guru for you will come to you, not that you go to him.
Or an advanced devotee.
Or an advanced devotee. In other words, not necessarily if you're good. It also said, Prabhupada also said this, and it's also in the books by our acharyas, that if your guru could not give you Raganuga Bhakti, Ragan and Rupanuga Bhakti by the time he's left the planet, then you need to take Shiksha. So you need to have that instruction.
Well, we always need to take Shiksha, even if you're an initiating guru in ISKCON, especially if you're an initiating guru.
Yeah, I'd say especially.
Yeah. When you have thousands of disciples depending on you, you better make sure you've got someone really advanced.
The guru is on the cruise ship somewhere.
Yeah.
And
so
also,
we don't usually find the guru on the cruise ship.
Excuse me. Well, your last thing, what did you say? What did you say? Say again, Mahabhuti?
No, I shouldn't have said it. My wife inspired me, and I said that you're not going to meet your guru probably on a cruise ship.
Yeah, it was an endearing term that Gurudev Srinaran would say. He said, "Guru searches you. Guru, meaning he will look for you, will search and find you."
Nitya Leela, would you like to finish the rest of this? Rupanuga, not Raganuga.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Please.
Rupanuga, not Raganuga. All Rupanugas are Raganugas, but not all Raganugas are Rupanugas. You should know this fact. What am I saying, devotee? All Rupanugas are Raganugas, but not all Raganugas are Rupanugas. Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Maharaj. Who are Rupa Nuga? Those who are actually following the mode of Rupa Goswami. All our acharyas are Rupa Nugas. Not only Rupa Nugas. So it is a very,
Oh,
very
not only Raganuga.
yeah, not only Raganuga. So it is a very, very important point. Our Guru Deva has composed Radha Vinoda Ashtakam. The first shloka is Radha Chinta Nivesena Yasya Kantir Vilotpita Shri Krishne Charanam Tabande Radha Lingita Vigraham. I worship the lotus feet of that form of Krishna when due to being thoroughly immersed in separation from Srimati Radhika, who is displaying mana, her jealousy, anger, his own dark complexion vanishes and he assumes her bright golden luster. The meaning is this. Sometimes Srimati Radhika becomes so absorbed in separation, weeping so bitterly that she faints, but Rupa Goswami does not want this. Our Guru Deva, who is Rupa Nuga or any of our Acharya, including Rupa Goswami, will not want this. What will they want? Radha Chinta Nivesena Yasya Kanter Vilopita. Krishna should weep in separation from Srimati Radhika. No, Krishna should weep. Our Srimati Radhika is so soft. Her feet are so soft. She should not walk here and there to search for Krishna. Krishna should search for her because he is a coward boy. His feet are so hard and hard. He should walk so much.
Okay, let's see if anyone has a comment to make on this. Mahabudi Prabhu? Can't hear you. You're unmuted.
How?
You're Hari
I was
Prabhu.
thinking how interested in the nature of love and the sacrifice, because Radha, I think they're talking about when he comes at next as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Radharani said, "I will embrace you, I will cover your body so you won't be hurt
When you're rolling in
when
the
you're rolling
ground,
on the ground in
ecstasy.
ecstasy." You know, so he takes that complexion, that avesh, that investiture, that's Radhe trying to protect Krishna. And then we see, but Manjari that we had the other vision. They said, no, she's so soft. Krishna should wait for her. And even to this day, I mean, even the shopkeepers that, you know, I heard the last part of what you were saying, like, they won't say Hare Krishna. They say, who's the boss here? Radhe. That they know that Vrindavan is ruled, Radhe rules, and so the interplay is it is complex, but we can break it down if you follow take the Anugatya, very important. So there's three ingredients: lal gopal,
Bata.
lal bata. The
Achyuta Lal Bata.
Achyuta Lal Bata, which is #1 Sanskrit scholar, Vaishnava. He's descendant from Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He spoke from Gopal Bhatta Goswami. He spoke.
Achyuta Lal who?
Bhatta, like Gopal Bhatta.
Shastri.
Lal Bhatta. Is he still alive today?
Yes,
he just spoke a few days ago.
He spoke, and he said there are three ingredients for Raganuga Bhakti. One is first lolium, or the desire, the intense greed and desire. It's a Prabhupada, the other day I was reading, Prabhupada said, how am I going to do this? And it can, we need to know how minute we are, how insignificant. And when we assume that, then mercy will come. And so Prabhupada said, but you just wonder how to do it. How am I going to get there? How? And it becomes a desperate call. At that time, then mercy will be showered. So this Prabhu was saying,
Achutalal Bhatta
Achutalal Bhatta
Shastri.
Shastri was saying that first begins with Loliam, that the intense desire, then Anugatya and Kripa. Those three ingredients have to be there, Kripa. We're not gonna, and Kripa means, yeah, we're gonna do the effort to try to follow in the footsteps. And
With
then
mercy.
they'll take pity. They'll
Yeah.
take their
But
hearts
it's
will
divided.
soften.
Kri
Look, she's
means-
trying. Look how she's trying. Look, he's trying. They understand they're just so insignificant. They can't do anything. Because if we think that's pratishta, if we're thinking, oh, now I follow everything. I'm reading, I'm doing all the rules and regulations. Everything is there. That maybe that pratishta, so we're okay. And so Krishna, nobody's going to pay attention to us. But if we come from that platform of we are empty ourselves of all desires, that Sridhar Bhakti-Rasa Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj said, the success of Srila Prabhupada, he had no personal desire. He emptied himself from that. And we can feel very insignificant, then the mercy will be showered.
Can I say something? You were saying kripa means mercy, but the word kripa is a particular type of mercy. It has two syllables. I forget.
Kri
means pa. I forget which
do,
means
do
and receive. So the kripa is when you endeavor and you do something, and pa is you receive the mercy. So it's like the Damodar pastime, the two things, effort and mercy.
And
right?
that
Is
comes,
that correct?
yeah.
You, Mahabhuti, what you were saying? Mercy.
Two,
Yeah,
two fingers too short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are all correct. I was just thinking as Nirhara was saying that those points are correct, but I was interject one thing, because when you understand how insignificant we are and how much our endeavor, even though maybe very hard, like Mother Yasoda was trying, got all the rope from all over Vrindavan to try to tie Krishna, and struggling and sweating so much stuff, and still she couldn't do it. So the endeavor there, and then Krishna gave mercy. But also in this, I spoke about don't become hopeless. In other words, if we see our insignificance, and we meditate on actually not only our insignificance, our birth, our lack of qualities, our lack of understanding, our meager, defective personality, everything. And when you think all of these examples of, Rupa Manjari and Rati Manjari and all of our Gaudiya Varga and Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev, then it can become overwhelming, because what is it? We have no quality. So we can be, I remember I was giving the example, I was in the Guru Puj, and I was looking at this mountain at the back of the room, and I was, thinking, what chance do we have, so low-born, useless, been serving 40 years, but what's the, there's no hope for us. And then it's like, we can just like washing coal, no matter how much you wash it, it's still black, right? So I'm thinking that we have all this exalted personalities, but yet our own position so useless and feeble. So I was thinking that there's like no hope, that, and I was way in the back of the Vyas Puj, and just right as I was thinking that, there's just like this hopeless for our case, and then immediately Madhav Maharaj came and said, Srila Gurudev wants to speak to you. I said, now he's getting offered our, Guru Puj for his Vyas Puj. And so, yes, I don't know, he had some talk, you have to come. So we had to meager our way through 400 people all the way up to the front of the room. And when I got to the Vyasasan, Srila Gurudev, he called me closer. Narayan called me closer. He had these earphones on his ears, and he took one off, and I had my ear right up to him. He says, "Don't become hopeless."
Oh wow!
So I have this picture.
You had a direct hotline with him.
Yeah. So I mean, the Guru is Trikala John, and just like I said earlier, yeah, there's other pastimes I don't want to bore you guys with that Guru, that Narayan Maharaj gave to me, really mystical stuff. But that we have to understand, like I said earlier, that the association with a Mahapurush is not ordinary. It's not like, so
No.
whatever this kripa, this mercy has to come. In other words, for us to be, we're not going to make it to Raganuga Bhakti. We can hear and we can develop really sincere greed, but it's not going to happen unless a Siddha Purush, one who has this love from the spiritual realm, comes and blesses you with it. You can't demand bhakti and it comes down and gives it to you. You have to desire this greed strongly. You have to do the work, as Narhari was saying, as much as possible. But what will give you that? Only of having that sangha, that association with the pure, Mahapurush, Rasik, Bhavuk, devotee, can actually give you that love from which they have. Otherwise, there's no possibility of getting it.
You can't give what you don't have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And pray. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was
Narhari,
just-
it's okay.
No,
Go ahead.
I was, and in all this, once we are in that desperate mood, Prabhupada, even Prabhupada, there are examples that are like really amazing stories, but that like mystical like that praying to our spiritual master, praying to our line of Gurudevs. Param Gurudev, there's a little short story where this devotee thought, if I cook halaba made out of wheat germ for Prabhupada, this is more nutritious than farina. So I think I told you this story before.
Yes.
And then, Prabhupada rejected it, and this devotee
Nanda
was
Kumar?
devastated.
Nanda Kumar.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Nanda Kumar. I think
Yeah.
he was in somebody that so happened that was able to serve Prabhupada for maybe a few days or something, and maybe perhaps it was Nanda. I had to ask him, but he runs out of Prabhupada's room crying, and it so happened that way at the end of the hall there is a picture of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our grandfather, and he's crying in front of the picture, and then he hears the bell going on again. And Prabhupada calls and says, where is that halava? Bring it over. And he ate it all. And then Prabhupada looked at him and says, grandfather is more compassionate
Wow.
than the father. The father is the spiritual master, Diksha. He's got disciples, disciplined. He has to. It's our mother Jashoda always showing the stick to Krishna. It's not that he be abusive, but he has to. She said, well, I have to, because my son has to grow up as a rightful man. I don't want to be a thief. So Prabhupada was there. That's a Diksha Gurudev. Shiksha Gurudev, there's no difference, and then there is a little difference. He's in a friendly manner will remind us of something. The same instruction, but given it. So the prayers like that. And I like what Prabhupada said to Malati one day. He calls it, says, when I'm everywhere when you pray for me. When you call me, I'm there.
Wow.
And he explained to her that guru is principle, is not a person. We that do become, of course, will become attached to that personality. They're so endearing, but they are actually
Especially
the
now,
manifestation of super
with the
soul.
ghost worship. I wonder what's happening.
Oh, I'd like to hear what you had to say. I'm sorry.
So
That was it. That was all.
there's
I was thinking that in those things that when we become, like you said, Mahabodhi said, oh, this is hopeless. Sometimes I think that way too. It comes to me that mood. And then I'm thinking, oh, no, I have to pray for the mercy. It's like we read, there is, Sadhu Sangha, Anatani Riti, like that, you come to Ruchi, you come to Sakti, Asakti, and you come to Bhav. And we think, okay, well, if I follow everything, I'm supposed to be in Bhav now. Come on, what's going on? It's always the descending process. It's like you were saying, the first question Gurudev asked me in the morning was, what is Srila Sattva Visheshatma? And Mahabodhi was so,
What was the question? I didn't hear it. What was the question?
He asked me, what is the definition of Bhav? Bhav.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you find this in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? Shuddha Sattva Visheshatma. And so, what is this? That actually a ray of love coming from Radharani on a platform of this Sambit, which is Sandeep, is actually the representation is Baladev Goswami, Baladev, I mean, Srila Baladev, not Srila Baladev, Sri Baladev. And so it is a descending process, that when they have compassion on us, when their heart melts, then that ray of that comes into our heart. So, and it comes too with prayers. I think at that time, when it's the darkest time, and we pray to our Guru Varga, we pray our Guru Dev, we pray our Guru Vargas, how to enter this, how to enter that service. We want to become purified. The Sri Guru, like he told Triyandi Maharaj, I mold. Anyhow,
is Chalila speaking? Someone's
I'm
speaking.
sorry. I'm sorry. I just go on this. I get enthusiastic and.
I heard
Nicholila,
somebody
would you
make
like
a
to
comment.
finish would you like to finish the page, Nicholila? Where were you? Okay, he should walk so much. Do you see where you left off? So Radha Chinta. Nicholila, are you there? Hello?
There's another point she gave earlier
Okay.
that hasn't been mentioned.
Okay.
And so I was going to say it, but it took too long ago. But as she was mentioning that the Krishna becomes so much absorbed in Radharani that his form changes. So in this prayer that they were saying, this Radha Vinod Bihari that was installed by Bhakta Bhagwan Keshava in Vrindavan, is when that time when Krishna became so absorbed in Radharani that his color changed like golden to be like Radharani. And so in that format also, what we know from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where he took the bhav of Radharani and therefore he became golden in her moods. So this is also significant that even Krishna, when he was, that there's a verse, one of the verses I have to chant daily that was that's in the Bhagavad Gita, but also commented by Vishwanath Chakravarti, in that Tesam Satyuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yenama Payanti Te, that we don't want that Buddhi yoga that Arjun had. So when you read Bhagavad Gita, that we don't want that Buddhi yoga. We want that Buddhi that Krishna, he becomes so bewildered and so controlled by the love of the Vrijabasis that he's like staggering and completely controlled. That is the Buddhi or the love that we're aspiring for. So
we want Mahabodhi. We want Mahabodhi.
Mahabodhi managed to squeeze in the Tesham Satata Yuktanam verse. Prabhupada told him to repeat it every day. He managed to get it.
No, Gurudev said this.
Yeah, without knowing that, my first few times I met with Narayan Maharaj, and I was praying to Prabhupada about, after he'd left, some for guidance and to be able to, talk about who to get a sign and everything. And then when Narayan Maharaj came to Florida, I was managing a hospital, University of Miami's hospital. And afterwards I went to the program because I knew him from, Prabhupada introduced me way back in the 70s. So, and I met him again in the 80s when we went to take, with Radha Swami, when we went to take the crown off Prabhupada from New Vrindavan after he commented, to Kirtananda.
What did he comment? What did he comment to him?
That's another story. Another story, but the issue said,
let's keep going to midnight.
Yeah, I'll just give a a sentence synopsis. He basically said the sentiment is nice. However, Prabhupada is so much greater than a king, you're actually diminishing him because he's so far higher than a king. Simply putting a crown on him is not appropriate. So that was the just of it.
If he doesn't take it out, he'll fall down.
Yeah, and then he said if he doesn't take it off, that Kirtananda will fall down.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't want to go any farther than that one. But
when he first saw you,
so when he first saw me, he said to me, he said, your Guru Maharaj has sent me to help you. He said, he told me that I have to come to help you. And then he put his hand on my chest and said, Te sam satita yuktanam bhajatam
Nice.
priti purvakam dadami
How cool is
yugam
that?
tam yena mama payanti te. So that was,
Wow.
and he didn't,
Wow,
he
it's that.
didn't know, I didn't tell him any of that, but that was, that was the wake up call for me that, Srila Prabhupada is basically handing over the responsibility to him to help guide me. So, that was.
I think you should ask him about that concept.
I have a
You
comment
remind
to
me
make.
of that.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Whenever I can, I'll
No,
make it.
No, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is tying in with Mahabodhi's crown story. So I found this in the Srila Prabhupada disciples group that I started. The Rameshwar Prabhu made a comment the other day, and I put it on my personal page. He says, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Once I saw Srila Prabhupada in his quarters at New Dwarka, walking through his bedroom towards his writing room, where I was alone, waiting for him. He was truly effulgent, and his appearance was gorgeous and opulent. So I blurted out, Srila Prabhupada, you look just like a king. Srila Prabhupada looked at me gravely and corrected me, saying, I am much more than a king.
Yeah. Emperor of emperors.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote. Yeah, he's emperor, king of kings, right?
Yeah.
So
Even
sorry,
beyond
you wanted to say, I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah, well,
You and I heard-
Mahabodhi's story remind me, what Sri Guru is like. There's a story in Chaitanya Charitamrita about Nakula Brahmachari, that, how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu devised to spread the holy name, the highest conception of the holy name, and, and introduce Madhurya Rasa and like that. Sometimes he would enter devotees. He would send his intimate associates and like that. So Shivananda Sen was doubtful about this Nakula Brahmachari having that the Lord had entered him, but he was manifesting all these symptoms of Mahabhav, like in his body. So all these sattvikas and like that, they were manifesting in this Nakula Brahmachari. So he had a big following. You couldn't even see. He was in the middle of maybe thousands of people. They had come to see him. So, but Shivananda Sena thought, okay, well, I guess I'll go see him, but I don't know about this. So, so Nakula Brahmachari could perceive that Shivananda Sena was there. He says, go, and I know he's doubtful. To his servants, he says, go in 4 directions and call out for Shivananda Sena. So these devotees went and ran around and called. Finally, Shivananda says, I am. So he goes closer to Nakula Brahmachari and says, I know what mantra you chant, the Gorgopal mantra. He tells him like that. So this story reminds me Mahabodhi's story. It's just like that Sri Guru manifesting through, Sri Narayana Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. They are the embodiment of Sri Guru, and so the communication is, a much more amazing, expanded way. So yes, our faith always have to. We of us lamenting us of little faith. That strata that is necessary to have. So they instill on us. And what a wonderful story, Mahabodhi, you had. And it reminded me of that. I hope it wasn't too lengthy. But
it reminded me another one of Rameshwar, if you have a second to hear.
Yeah,
we were in
Sure.
we were in Atlanta, and they just installed Gornatai deities, right? And the library party was there. Radha Damodar party was there. It was like, there was just like, it was a big celebration.
And Prabhupada sang Parama
Prabhupada sang,
played
Mridanga, and then he stopped, and then he played the tape, and is there any difference? And had us try to chant Parama Karuna, and only one Prabhu could chant it, everyone else couldn't. Anyway, these are stories. But there was a reporter that came, and Prabhupada was was in the front right after greeting the deities, and he was folded hands, and he's looking at Gauratai, and Rameshwar was right next to him, and then I was right next to Rameshwar, and the reporter came up and he was asking, so does your Guru Maharaj, he talks to the deities, and then Rameshwar said, no, it's that this is the supreme person, and that they're he was like giving some roundabout thing, and I was standing there going, that's strange. And Prabhupada turned around, he goes, no, I'm directly speaking to them. And it was said like, directly speaking to the deities. And then, the reporter was going like, wow, he speaks directly to God, So, it was interesting to see, Rameshwar was trying to give a, materially acceptable, to a visitor, and Prabhupada is trying to know I'm speaking directly to them, to give, we felt like jumping up in the air, Jai Prabhupada!
You should have. You should.
But he can hear you now. See, we're speaking 12th canto, 12th chapter. Gotta learn the verse. But Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj quotes, it says, Krishna says, when you speak and when you talk about my bhaktas, I'll be there.
Nice.
Shasad Harit and Asamasta, there's no difference between them.
Krishna also likes to hear his bhaktas being glorified.
Right.
Yes, absolutely.
We were saying yesterday, Bhakti Krit. The name for Krishna. Go ahead, Mahabodhi. Sorry.
No, you just reminded me of that point when Rohini Ma was speaking about the gopis to the queens, and then Balaram and Krishna was in the governing house, and with or without shoes, I'm not sure, they ran out immediately to go hear the Harikatha that Rohini's speaking about the residents of Vrindavan, specifically the gopis. And then, but Subhadra was posted as the guard, and she didn't let, Balaram and Krishna go in. But they all three of them were hearing the transcendental glorifications of, the Brijabasis, and specifically the gopis, because the queens are asking, who is this, Radha and Vishaka and Lalita and the names of the cows? Who are these? We keep hearing, we're his wives, but he's always talking about these other women. Who are they? Then they asked Rohini, and Rohini started telling these stories.
No, he cries.
He was he would, in his sleep, Krishna would be crying out these names. And so what happened is, then as they were standing outside, and as Rohini was giving all the glorifications, then their bodily started to melt. Their faces started to melt. Their hands would be melt and go inside the body. All these, and this was how the form of Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra manifested in Dwarka.
And the walk that they have, the Brahmins in Puri, when they take the Lord, and he's wobbling from one place to place. That is how Krishna walk was. He was so stunned and full of emotion that I'm going to Vrindavan. We're going to Vrindavan. That's how they were so ecstatic, about that.
May I, Nitya Leela, can you finish this page, please?
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Yeah, thank you. Sure.
Okay, let me just find it here. I just didn't want to leave it unfinished.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we? Is this it? I can't tell if I'm on the right page or not. Okay, Radha Chinta Niveshana. All right.
I can't see the screen. Yeah. So, Radha Chinta Niveshena Yasya Kuntir Vilopita. Srimati Radhika disappeared from the rasa, and Krishna was searching. He could not get Srimati Radhika's darshana. So he was searching and weeping. At last, Krishna sat down and Imli Tala, Imli Tala in Vrindavana, near Yamuna in Seva Kunja. He was bitterly weeping and was absorbed in thinking, oh, where can I find Srimati Radhika? Where can I find Radhika? She has left me here. Where has she gone? Drawn in these thoughts, Krishna lost his black color, and at once his complexion became golden. He was still Krishna, but he became golden like Srimati Radhika. His mood was changed into Radhika's. He was crying bitterly, oh Krishna, where are you? Oh Krishna, where are you? Do you understand this? He was not calling Radhike, Radhike in Krishna's mood. Rather, at once her color and mood came in him, and he began to call, Krishna, Krishna, where are you? In all the Gaudiya Vedanta Srimati Mathas, our Guru has established our deities. Vinoda Bihari. With this mode, Radha Chinta Nivesena Yasya Kantir Vilopita, Krishna's color went out and he became golden, taking the color and mode of Radhika. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha Lingita Vigraham. I am doing Vandana to that very form of Krishna, which has been embraced by Radhika with all her parts. Radhika's whole body is here, and Krishna's body has been completely covered by all the parts of Srimati Radhika. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Radha Lingita Vigraham. This is Rupanuga. Krishna should weep. Krishna should search for Radhika. Why should our sweet, innocent, very simple Radhika go here and there, in mountains, across rivers, through thorns? Why should she go? Krishna should go all over searching for her. This is Rupanuga. So all Rupanuga Goswamis are like this. They have come only to bestow their mercy in this way.
Wow, I need to go back and look at that again. This is so, wow, immense.
It's thick and sweet as
Krishna loses his color and then takes on the mood of Radharani.
Yeah.
And he's
It's so
calling
beautiful.
for himself. Go on.
Yes.
Vichalila, go ahead.
I never heard it before. It's beautiful narration actually. And so heartwarming, sort of very connecting soul.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's a gift, isn't it? What a gem.
I'm sorry, you know, I don't want to make this political, but I mean, this is so rich. I can't understand. I mean, it's, and I don't want to be critical of anybody, but anybody who's against this is crazy. No. But not necessarily crazy for Krishna.
I advocate it strongly. Krishna is searching Radhika. He is weeping. I'm so happy.
Yes.
You must be in a special. Which camp is Nichalila if she's thinking like that?
In Radhika's camp. She has to be in Radhika's camp. So sometimes Bhakti Siddhanta, he gave an interesting comment that everyone is feeling sad because for Radharani and lamentation, because it's been so long and she's practically dying. They're putting a cotton to her nose as she laid her down in Kadam. I just forgot the name. Kadam. What is that place? Anyway, they laid her down and on this dry grass, and it was green. And Tirkadam, thank you. And as she was lying to the leaves would just turn, like fall, just turn like burnt. And then they couldn't hardly find any breathing. So they would give a little cotton swab and put it under her nose to see if she's still in. Just a little bit of breath is there. So much. And the gopis in that separation, Terkadam, they didn't even change their cloth from the time they were crying when Akura came and took Krishna. So everyone's crying about the separation from Krishna, from Radharani. But then Bhaktisiddhanta did a turnaround also. He said, yes, but also just I'm thinking how sad that Krishna is. At least the gopis are there to satisfy each other, to lean on each other for the lamentation of Krishna. But who is Krishna? He's in Mathura. There's no one there. There's no one to understand his feelings, his great separation. So Bhaktisiddhanta was saying like this. And then Narayan Maharaj came back later when he told us how Krishna sent Uddhava, because there Uddhava was, to go to the school of the gopis, so that Krishna would have someone to be able to, when Uddhava went there and spent 3 months, he was awed at seeing the great love of the Brajadevis for Krishna, and then he felt like so insignificant. When he got there, he thought he was, he had so much loving relationship with Krishna, but then he met with Nanda and Yasoda, and he actually screwed up with Nanda, and he felt very sad. He made them feel even more morose, and then he felt the same. He did the same with the gopis, and they realized they had so much more higher love than he did. But then when he came back, then Krishna was at least able to speak with them from some of his, feelings and seeing how great love that the Brajadevis and the residents of Vrindavan have, and how, if you read Gopal Champu, that when Krishna was asked by Narada Muni that he has to go to Dwarka and Mathura and so many of these different activities have to do, all Krishna was thinking about, can I go back to Braj? Can I go now? Will I be able to go then? But after each one, no, you still won't be able. And each way, his heart was always in the mood of going back to Vrindavan. So sometimes, even though we're Radha Bhaktas and we're trying to develop this Rupanuga mentality, sometimes also Krishna, you can see he's feeling also great separation and great, and then when he's in Dwarka, he's crying out in the night the names of the different residents and the cows and the gopis in the night, when the queens couldn't understand this, why we're your wives, we have all these palaces, you have 10 children from us, but their love was separated between their different children and their in-laws and so many family members.
Tell them how you got
where Krishna, where the Brajadevis, they gave up everything for Krishna's satisfaction. And in that one story that, my wife just reminded me, that when Krishna was feeling a headache, and then he went to all the residents of Dwarka and asked for just the foot dust. No, if I give my foot dust to Krishna, I will go to hell. I'll surely go to hell. Why? I can't do that. And so I went to all the people, and none of them would give their foot dust. But then immediately the gopis would, and Narada Muni came and said, you will give your foot dust to Krishna? Oh, yeah. If Krishna says immediately start taking all this, which now is the Gopi Chand that we use for tilak. They're immediately taking the dust for their feet to give. And you want to give, what if you go to hell? If we go to hell, doesn't matter, but if Krishna's headache is finished, then we will be completely happy. So he could see the great love. There's no higher loving relationship. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya made that specifically clear. There is no higher rendering of service than those of the Brajadevis of Vrindavan, and of all the gopis and manjaris, the topmost lover of that is Srimati Radhika. So this is where all of the devotees in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sangha need to end up, is the roof, the top of the platform. So anyone who's not gearing for that, they've not yet completely understood the philosophy of our sampradaya that Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev came to give us. And I don't mean criticizing anybody. It's just
it's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give. So how could we deny that?
But if people are, believe it or not, they don't. Here in New Vrindavan, you know, you're not allowed to chant Radha's name. You're not allowed to chant Srila Prabhupada's name. I mean, you know,
that's crazy.
What?
yeah, well,
It's horrible.
Prabhupada's name?
It's an ISKCON law, you know, founded by Jayadvaita Swami. It's an ISKCON
Yeah,
law.
so the
God.
It's horrible.
So,
That's
you know,
evil.
how can you
That's evil.
yeah, how can you
You can't call them Mataji's. They have to be all Prabhu's.
yeah,
Mataji's.
anyway,
Mataji's rule.
anyway. Yeah, you have to call anyway, I'm not gonna tell that. But I mean,
Yeah.
just
Let's not come down
that
from
branch
Radha
will dry
Nuga.
out.
yeah, so we're on a high platform. I don't want to bring it down to like, you know, 3 feet off the ground, you know, like,
Yeah.
but you know,
They can have
if
whatever
you can't
version.
chant, if you can't
That's-
chant Jai Prabhupada's, you know, as his disciple or grand disciple in his movement, and you can't chant Jai Radharani or, you know, Radhe Radhe, which is the goal of our surrender of our service, I don't know what movement they're in. I really don't. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a corporation. Okay, I didn't read it all tonight, so I want to read a page. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yay.
Okay,
We'll
and I'll-
promise to be quiet. I won't add anything.
No, I'm
Nehari
going to
doesn't-
stop.
If
Me
Nehari
too.
doesn't say anything and I don't say anything,
too.
anyone else can talk.
No,
That's
no,
fine.
it doesn't work like that. Not tonight. No, what's that expression used as when you get impetus? Spurti? Is it called a spurti? Is that the term?
Spurti is when you get a vision. You have a tangible.
What's the term when someone gives impetus to more?
Lack of
stimulate.
control.
Lack of control.
Oh, we're losing battery.
We're gonna lose you.
Dada,
Go ahead and
Radhe,
read.
Radhe, please
Go in the
read,
house.
and we'll
Go-
listen to you.
Go in the house.
We're in our car in town. We stopped.
We
and
forgot our
Don't you have a phone charger in your car? Come on, guys.
We
I
forgot.
always do.
We don't
And
right
today
now.
I landed.
So we might get lost before you finish the class. So
Right.
that's everyone.
I want to.
that's good.
All right. So
Okay.
here we are. Swamiji. So now Srila Narayana is continuing. Swamiji cut jungles, but he did not only come for this. In this Rupa Nuga nectar of instruction, Rupa Goswami's teachings, he is giving all these tattvas. You should patiently hear. And then you can understand what is the mood of this special Rupa Nuga Vaishnavacharya, Srila Swamiji, who is in the line of Srila Rupa Goswami. Devotee reads, after taking to devotional service under the regulated principles, a person may come to the platform of spontaneous love of Godhead, following in the footsteps of great devotees like Narada and Sanak and Sanatan, Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. Why is he mentioning Narada? Why? And Sanak and Sanatan, they were all following regulative bhakti. But Narada and Mudava, by the association of the gopis, and Sanak, by the grace of both Narada and Uma Devi, the wife of Shankara. That story I don't know. They all received spontaneous love and service for Krishna. Originally, they were not in this mood. So Swamiji is giving examples. If anyone is performing regulative principles of bhakti, then by chance, from one's past impressions, or by luck, without any cause, Krishna can mercifully send his devotees to give their association. By hearing from them and following their instructions, one will attain spontaneous love, just as Narada, Sanak, and Sanatan did. And my comment on that is that Krishna has sent all of you to me so that I can also start to develop some love for Krishna. So I want to thank you all tonight for doing that for me.
Oh, we want to thank you, Prabhuji. You're the instigator.
Well, I am an instigator, but not for Krishna. Prema.
Transcendental instigator.
You're-
Mahabodhi, do you have
yeah.
a comment on what I just read, Mahabodhi Prabhu?
We should all have a prayer for Tridandi Maharaj that
Yes.
Yes.
Jai. Thank you.
Jai.
Yeah.
Yes, you should for sure.
So, are you reading this? Is this a book that you're reading from Bhakti Siddhanta, or is it a chapter?
No,
Or is
no,
it
no. This is the essence of all advice. These are a series of classes given by Srila Narayan Maharaj.
No, I have that book. I can't remember hearing Bhakti Siddhanta so explicitly.
No, first
Speak
we
out.
read.
That's because I was reading the other book. I was reading Srila Narayan Maharaj's as editor of the commentaries of Srila Radha Raman Goswami, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's Piyusha Vritti, and Bhakti Siddhanta's Anuvriti. That's all in Srila Narayan Maharaj's Nectar of Instruction.
Yeah, so that Anuvriti, I mean, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati really points out how, Kali can send devotees and praise them for preaching Upadesamrta.
Right.
So, we shouldn't be surprised that we see, in the guise of Dodis and Tilak, we have those that are preaching an Upadesamrta, and because here it's being warned to us, and it was warned to us by Prabhupada also, as well as Narayan Maharaj. So we, it's not that a devotee is seen with their eyes, like we see, oh, he's sannyasi, or he's wearing white, he's wearing saffron. You have to hear a devotee by your ears, by what they're saying.
Yes, that's what our acharya is.
It's like seeing the Lord by
And,
one time the go ahead. I'm sorry.
And their behavior. I've become very aware of terrible behavior in devotees, and we can't just think that because they have a position, it's okay for them to act so brutishly, so inappropriately. Like, I think I was in some sort of fog for many years, thinking because they're in that position, we have to honor and respect and not criticize, and just think that they're higher and they can do it. But we really have to look at people's behavior. Is their anger out of control? Do they put people down? Do they act inappropriately? Maybe, people watch football and this and that, but are these so-called high devotees watching sports? Are they, just seeing behavior, not to criticize, but where we want to hear from. Who do I want to hear from? Who am I going to trust and serve and follow? People that don't have those kind of qualities. So we have to come out of our fog, I think, a lot of us.
Yes,
And
I was.
who's walking the talk.
Right. I was at the Krishna Balaram Mandir a few years ago, and I wanted to meet Radha Govinda Maharaj because he was one godbrother I'd not met yet. And so I met one of his disciples, and he arranged for me to go kitty corner. He was in these apartments just across from Krishna Balaram Mandir. So I went to see him and offer my obeisances and just introduce myself, who I was, and told him I just wanted to know him. And he pointed at Krishna Balaram Mandir. This was, 2007 or 8 or whatever. And he said, you know what the problem is over there? I said, what, Maharaj? He said, they are thinking that according to the position that they hold, the administrative position they hold, that is equal to their level of spiritual advancement. But it is not so.
Yes.
And then he also said to me, before Srila Prabhupada departed a few weeks before, he went to Prabhupada saying, I have a couple hundred devotees, I've been cultivating, and, I want them to be initiated by you, but, you're not so well right now. What should I do? Prabhupada said, you initiate them. And Radha Govinda Maharaj said, no, but that would not be proper because, you're still on the planet. And Prabhupada said, you initiate them. They're your disciples. I'm not sure about that part of whether they are your disciples. I vaguely remember that. But Prabhupada was just giving that to him. And then he said when he started to initiate them, the GBC came and said, hey, you can't start initiating people. We didn't give you permission. And he said, it doesn't matter. Prabhupada told me to do it. He gave me direct instruction.
Yes.
I don't need your permission.
Trump card.
Yeah, the GBC for the Gaudiya Math didn't send Prabhupada to America either. Sorry. It doesn't necessarily work.
No,
like that.
they told, was it Tirthamaj? Which one told him you got to prove yourself a little bit more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
And join our society, and when you become a proper member, we have the means to send you, because you're going to require a lot of money and this and that.
Yeah. So there's one thing that Mataji said that, Prabhupada wanted that we become, thoughtful devotees. And that doesn't mean let someone else do the thinking for us. So just like we may humbly think, oh, we need to follow the authority. But if the authority's wrong, then they think they're right, but they're wrong. And if we know that they're wrong, then we shouldn't follow them. That doesn't mean we just follow them just because it's easier that way, or they're going to cut off my economic development. And that's the same thing. That's the same thing right now that's going on in the United States and other countries of the world, where we just blindly follow somebody who says it's science, or
some psychopath, some
psychopath, and we go, but he said that doesn't take it away from you having to make decisions based on your research and knowledge and your critical thinking analysis. Prabhupada doesn't want everyone just to be, sheeples, and so therefore, the challenge to the devotee is to understand when something's off, then they need to speak up. They need to speak out. And the same thing in our government. Our government was set up for the people and by the people. As soon as it becomes, it becomes usurped, and all your rights, everything, and you're less than a person now. You're just a cockroach or just a consumer, and your only business is to serve us wealthy people. Then the government for the people and by the people has been dissolved as soon as you don't take your responsibility to actually, speak out when things going wrong. And that was why the founding fathers allowed guns. So when because when the British came to want to monopolize and force everyone to become slaves, then by having guns, they were able to revolt. And because if you look at Australia, they became a police state because guns were banned there. But in America, at least in this particular state I'm in, there's 10 guns for every house here. So it's they're not gonna easily just fall prey to some maniac, platform that just wants you to be a slave to tyranny. So in the same way as ISKCON or any society that, that comes and wants to make the devotees into not devotees, but employees, or some other, crazy philosophical anomaly, then we have to stand up to that. Otherwise, our duty as a devotee is also impaired, and we also take the fault for that aparad by going along with it.
Yes, just like we did with the 11 that thought they became Mahabhagavats overnight.
Well, some thought of that, but I just could not.
They thought it. He didn't say we thought that. He's saying they thought that. He wanted me to tell you.
I chopped down the Vyasa, so I did my part.
Oh, right. Prabhu wants me to tell you what Prabhupada specifically on these things said. What he said, asked. So I had inherited some money, and I gave it to Prabhupada. And while I was waiting to hear back from him, people were trying to get me to give the money to their project. The temple president, the GBC, etc. So I waited until I got my letter back from Prabhupada, and he wanted all the money. And then there were problems with the Gurukula, and I had 2 children in the Gurukula. So when I was speaking with Prabhupada, I asked him, because they said I should just follow them and quit bothering Prabhupada and give him the money, right? So
Prabhupada wants you to give that. Prabhupada wants you to give that money to me.
Yes.
Anyway, so he said, yes, he likes it very much when we don't disturb him and we follow what they instruct. So he wouldn't have been displeased if I'd given half the money to the temple president like he was asking. Perhaps he might not have been displeased, but the policy is to follow them as long as it's not going against your devotional service, your ability to chant, follow the principles, and do service.
So if they tell you you can mention the name of the highest devotee of the Lord,
so
or
that
praise,
would be something not to follow, not chanting Jaya Prabhupada and not a Radhe. But
what to speak if you're a devotee and you can't come to the temple and do your service because you're not double vaxxed or triple vaxxed.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
so those
crazy.
things, so that he let me know, and probably I was correct. He might have been really upset if I'd given the money to them. It was true. I already had a letter to Prabhupada waiting to hear from him. So when I pushed the matter and Sudama, under pressure from the GBC, was trying to get me to give half the money, he said, well, let's call Prabhupada. And we called and we couldn't reach him. So he goes, I myself think Srila Prabhupada wants you to give all the money to him. And I said, okay, let's wait. But then the other question was the Gurukula. He said in my letter, I thought I hadn't done any service. He said, you've done a great service by raising up 2 children and putting them in Gurukula. So I was thinking, oh, okay, so I'm done. I raised them up. Now they're in Gurukula. I don't have to take care of them anymore. Then he said, no, I have to go to the Gurukula and I have to make sure that the teachers are treating the children properly and they're being taught properly. And then he turned to Sudama and he goes, and I want you to go there also. In fact, I want all of my leaders and all of my disciples to go to the Gurukula and make sure that they're doing this properly and taking care of the children.
Checks and balances.
Yeah. So I followed his instructions. I went to the Gurukula for the 3-day parents weekend. And I told him some of the things Prabhupada said, like, don't leave your children alone in the house, the under 5-year-olds, and go out and do Sankirtan. I told one of the mothers who was doing that, she had an infant and a toddler, and she was locking them in the house and going out and doing Harinam. And I said, Srila Prabhupada said not to do that. Well, book distribution wasn't really so much. I don't know what she was doing. I said, Prabhupada said not to do that. So she went and told the leaders that I told her that mothers shouldn't do Sankirtan. And so they threw me out of the temple, and I was visiting, and I was Prabhupada had wanted me to stay there longer and discuss with them and get them to treat the children properly. But they said I had to leave because the 3 days were up. And that was my, that was the extent of my fulfilling Prabhupada's instruction on that.
They paid the price later.
What's that?
Paid the price later.
Paid the price later. Yeah. I want to go back to what Mahabodhi Prabhu was saying earlier. Here's a quote I read from Prabhupada Leela today.
Rasangi Ajay Haribol.
Jai Rasangi Haribol.
How blessed we are. This is so nectarian, you can't stop.
Yes.
Happy New Year, everybody. See everybody Monday.
Hare Krishna.
Looking forward.
Yeah. So Mahabodhi Prabhu, going back to your point, I created a post on my page today because one Mataji had shared with me that she reminded me that Prabhupada was he could walk into the Jagannath temple anytime, but because of the segregation of the temple authorities, not allowing Westerners to enter, because of Prabhupada's loyalty to his own disciples, because of his solidarity with us, he refused to go inside. And I can't remember whose diary I read it in. Maybe it was Satsvarup Maharaj's, maybe it was TKG's. But Prabhupada said, we will build another temple beside the Jagannath temple, and we will have a big kirtan, and Lord Jagannath will leave that temple and he'll come into our temple.
Yes.
Anyway, I just wanted to.
Because I heard, I didn't hear the whole thing, and I heard the other day somebody said, "Oh, there's a prediction that Jagannath will leave that temple."
Right. So I continue to write that if devotees have this level of integrity, loyalty, and solidarity towards one another against the current segregation / apartheid introduced by the governments, they could against our temples. Then they could act in the same mood as Srila Prabhupada and refuse to attend any and all temple functions and festivals until things are set right. That would be an admirable display of unity, and I'm sure would be appreciated by Srila Prabhupada. I went on to say that any Hare Krishna temple administration that prevents devotees from entering unless jabbed, what to speak of turning their temple into a clot shot spot where they're actually serving out pediatric Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J shots to 5-year-olds, administering their poison jabs. This has deviated from Srila Prabhupada, and they are becoming asara, or disconnected and useless.
Not becoming, already became.
Okay, well, I'm trying to give them the benefit of that to rectify themselves. Then I gave this story, Lakshmi Nrsingadas, he's saying, does anyone know this? I know who Lakshmi Nrsinga is, but is there a Lakshmi Nrsinga Dave that anyone knows? No? Okay.
No.
He tells the story. He says, one time I was fortunate enough to go on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada in Central Park in New York.
And that's Lakshmi Nrsinga then.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, okay. Yes.
I thought so. We were walking down a path, and every once in a while Prabhupada would stop and he would say something. At one point, he stopped by a branch that had fallen off the tree. And with his cane, he hit the branch and said, Asara. I didn't exactly know what Asara meant, but it means useless. Prabhupada said, this branch looks like it's part of the tree. It looks like it is alive. The leaves are still on there, but because it is disconnected from the tree, it is now going to wither and die. So these sampradayas that deviate from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, they become useless because they have disconnected themselves from the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Eventually, they will wither up and die. And I thought, wow, does that ever apply to the situation we have today? It's scary.
So upsetting. I can't stand to hear this.
Because as Mahabodhi Prabhu knows, the Farmington, Michigan, and Farmington Hills, Michigan temple, they've already had one clot shot there where they're saying we're teaming up with Walgreens and, we're ready to vaccinate you. Come on over. And similarly, ISKCON of New Jersey, they said the same. We have pediatric Pfizer here. They gave it that name, pediatric Pfizer, to, bring the little kid, 5-year-olds in there to give them these unnecessary shots. Sorry, I don't want to deviate from Radha Kund, but I just thought this was connected to what Mahabodhi Prabhu was saying. I'm going to blame him.
It's like, but it reminds me one thing is that, like Gurudev said, yeah, there are problems, Prabhu, definitely there are problems, but we need to learn how to step on their heads. And I think the bhajan, what we're doing through your this Zoom medium is the medicine to for us. I mean, at least
it's the highlight of the week. It really is.
Yeah. And because that's like Narayana Maharaj would say, it's just do your bhajan. He said, I can criticize ISKCON. I can do that. And the body, we were in a morning walk with him in California. And he was staying with us in Hermosa Beach at that time. And so we very small groups, Shivananda Sena Prabhu asked about, and Gurudev would ask me, did you call so and so? And we were keep calling Giriraj Maharaj to please come and pay his respects to Srila Gurudev, and he would just he never responded. Anyhow, we're talking like this, and so this devotee says, but so then Gurudev, these are demons. And Guru said, no, they're my children. I can chastise them, but you cannot. You can't change them. You cannot change them. I can. So it's not that I'm saying to bury our heads on the sand, and
Right.
This topic upsets my wife very much.
Yeah, I sense that. I apologize, Bavatrini, if I upset you in any way.
Well, Srila Prabhupada also said that, so we get it correct, that, when you're talking about his godbrothers, he said, I can say that, you can't.
Right.
And when you're talking about ISKCON, and we have these new younger devotees criticizing Prabhupada or something like that, they cannot do that, because we can, for our godbrothers, we certainly can. And if they're, if they're off, then they need to be told. We shouldn't be shy.
Yeah. But we had to always follow etiquette. I remember reading Sri Guru and His Grace, but it was a series of chats that, or talks or darshans with our godbrothers. They came to see Bhakti Rakshashila Dev Goswami Maharaj, and he says, you were saying something, Didi, I can't. Please, I'd like to hear it.
I think
my wife said something in the background, so it's not to be repeated.
Okay. We didn't hear it anyway because it cut off. You muted it. That's fine. If that's what you want. Yeah. How do you want to finish what you're saying? Oh, they left already. Anyway, Mahabodhi Prabhu, as you were speaking tonight and Hari is speaking, I mean, for me, this is one of the best broadcasts we've done, because the nectar was really flowing and it was very spontaneous. I saw how respectful you were to Nrhari Prabhu. I saw how respectful he was to you, as well as how Bavatrini was, like, they were eager to hear from you. You were also eager to hear from them. It just flowed very, very naturally. So I'm really happy how things went tonight. And to hear all of you speak, I feel like I just joined the Hare Krishna movement. I just feel like a new bhakta, with all these anartas, because wow, from all this hearing that you've done, from a much more advanced devotee, I can see how I've gotten left behind in the dust, and I can see, because of my fear of wanting to be accepted by ISKCON authorities, I went to Vrindavan to go on Braj Mandala Parikram with Srila Narayan Maharaj, because I asked Dinabandhu a previous year, Prabhu, how come I don't see so many devotees on your Parikram? He said, that's because everyone's on Srila Narayan Maharaj's Braj Mandala Parikram. He said, he does the best ones. He's been doing it for 50 years. And I thought, if Dinabandhu, the master of Rajmandala Parikrams, is saying that about Srila Narayan Maharaj, then I better get on one of those. So after attending a Bhakti festival in Germany, a year before Srila Narayan Maharaj departed, I went to Braj. But then I started hearing from ISKCON authorities, if you're found attending any festival in the Narayan Maharaj community, you're not welcome back in ISKCON anymore. You have to make a decision. Either you're with ISKCON or you're in them. You can't be in both camps. And I was fearful. I wanted to go, but I thought, my God, I'll never be able to see my friends in ISKCON anymore. You know what I'm saying? So I missed out, and I still kick myself to this day, but I was fearful.
Anyway, there's still time. There's still time. Once you don't have to leave ISKCON, you just have to hear. That's all. I mean, the difference for me, I was preaching in the temples, and and I was preaching the combination what Prabhupada said when Narayan Maharaj said, it's our Gaudiya philosophy. And was hundreds of people were coming. And then they said, oh, you can't preach here, you have too many people coming. And they said, but if you give up, Narayan Maharaj will make you guru, and you'll be, and I go, give up Narayan Maharaj. He said, He's only, what do you mean saying give up Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy? Is that what you're telling me? I mean, this is our philosophy. It's not, but the thing is they made a separation because, institutionally separation, but they didn't understand what the philosophy was. It's like so complementary. It's like, I like Gaur Sundar said in his glorification, just this last few days of the centennial, that he said like Prabhupada built the
Gaura
foundation.
Sundar, you mean Prabhupada's Gaura Sundar?
No,
No.
Gaur Sundar from Los Angeles. He's a very educated and wonderful devotee.
Okay.
So Prabhupada spent his time and he built the foundation from which the house can be built upon. And he said Narayan Maharaj gave the roof. He gave the ceiling. But now what's left is putting up the pillars, and someone does the windows and the doors and the floors. But I mean, so we have the foundation, the final, and so now the rest of the house will be built by generations of the devotees that come to follow. But I mean that without Prabhupada's giving that foundation, without Narayan Maharaj giving the conclusion, then we would have lost. We would have foundation. We wouldn't know what the conclusion is. It would, So now, now we have the foundation and the conclusion. And so we're somewhere in between, which we need to, mold our lives in such a way, to stay true to the foundation and reach for the conclusion. Very simple.
Yeah, nicely said.